Chapter 498. Ling Hao finally showed up, and a group of soldiers in military uniforms followed him. These soldiers, regardless of their identity, just the military rank on their shoulders was enough to scare people. Their appearance, not to mention a few ordinary police officers, even their bureau chief and department head, would be scared if they were here. These people also had the dignity of a soldier. They didn't say anything, but the noisy scene suddenly quieted down. The policemen were stunned on the spot, and they didn't dare to take Charlotte away by force. Mu Jianfeng and Yi Kuan couldn't help but look at each other, and their hearts also quietly gave birth to uneasiness. However, Yi Kuan quickly calmed down. He went up to them with a smile. "Mr. Ling, nice to meet you, chiefs. What are you?" Hanwu Weapons Company produced weapons for the army, and Yi Kuan was the chairman of Hanwu Weapons Company. Although he didn't know all of the soldiers in front of him, he knew a small portion of them, so he greeted them with a smile and tried to get close to them. Ling Hao glanced at Charlotte, who was still in handcuffs, and frowned. "What's going on?" "Who tied up Chairman Xia of the Thunder Horse Army Factory?" "Well, it's—" Yi Kuan avoided Ling Hao's question and said evasively, "This is what happened. The Thunder Horse Army Factory stole our company's patented technology. I brought people to investigate and confirm the truth. This is not— I want him to stop the infringement immediately, but he injured my staff. The police came to take him back to assist in the investigation." A few policemen looked at Yi Kuan dumbfounded. Just now, Yi Kuan had vowed that he would shoulder all the responsibility, but now he had sold them out in front of them. "Charlotte stole your company's patented technology?" Ling Hao looked at Charlotte again with a surprised expression. He couldn't believe what he had heard. Charlotte didn't argue and looked very quiet. Mu Jianfeng interrupted and said, "Mr. Ling, this is true. I know some things. The Gale assault rifle produced by the Thunder Horse Army Factory is exactly the same as the Shinwu assault rifle produced by the Hanwu Weapons Company. The Shinwu rifle is a new rifle developed by our Shenzhou Industry Group and Hanwu Weapon Company. Currently, we have a contract with a company in the United Arab Emirates. That's an order worth $200 million. Unexpectedly, it was hard to guard against a thief in the family. The Thunder Horse military factory actually stole the patented technology of the Shinwu rifle and secretly produced it. This is a very serious matter. I think it's necessary to bring Charlotte back for investigation." Several military leaders discussed in low voices, and their faces were filled with disappointment. The Thunder Horse military factory was a dark horse in China's military industry. It could even be said to be the pride of China's military industry. This time, the military needed to replace their rifles. Of course, they were interested in the products of the Thunder Horse military factory, so they came over to take a look. However, they didn't expect to encounter such a thing before they could even see the rifles of the Thunder Horse military factory. Ling Hao's face darkened. He looked at Charlotte and asked, "Is this true?" Only then did Charlotte speak. "Of course it's fake. Why would I steal their patent and openly produce it?" "Humph. Fake," Yi Kuan said coldly. "We have a patent certificate. The Gale assault rifle you brought to the exhibition is also evidence. Do you still want to argue?" "Charlotte, it's no use quibbling. If you have something to say, save it for the court." Charlotte said lightly, "Patent? What can a patent certificate prove? Can it strengthen the national defense of our country? Can it improve the manufacturing level of our country? I can guarantee with my head that the Shinwu assault rifle produced by you is rubbish. The Gale assault rifle produced by us is the best assault rifle in the world." Yi Kuan sneered. "What a joke. What do you say? Then what's the use of patent law? I don't know how Hanwu Weapon Company and Shenzhou Industry Group got the blueprints we designed, but it's easy to prove it." Charlotte said, "Yi Kuan, do you dare to take your Shinwu assault rifle to the shooting range and compare it with our Gale assault rifle? Who's a fake? Well, no one's we compare." Charlotte's words made Mu Jianfeng's expression turn serious. This sly old fox had been worried that something might go wrong, but he couldn't find any loopholes. Now that Charlotte said something like that, his uneasiness grew stronger. Yi Kuan actually felt the same way, but he couldn't think too much at this time. "You want to compete, and we'll compete? Who do you think you are? You stole our company's patent first, and now you want us to satisfy your stupid request. Don't you think too highly of yourself? Charlotte said, you don't even dare to compete face to face. Do you have a guilty conscience? It's the same thing. Who's the real one and who's the fake one? Let experts see, try, and compare. Want to be clear? Or do you actually know that your Shimu assault rifle is a fake one? Yikuin didn't want to argue with Charlotte anymore. He said angrily, what are you still standing there for? Take him away. The policeman didn't move. They had just been betrayed by Yi Kuan, and now Yi Kuan was using them as weapons. Who would have a problem with that? Who would be as obedient as a grandson? The crowd around them started to make a ruckus. You don't even dare to compete. Do you really have a guilty conscience? Whether it's the real one or a fake, shouldn't you take it out to verify? Yes, even if it's in court, they have to verify it, right? This is definitely not what Hanwoo Weapons Company said. Otherwise, why wouldn't they dare to verify it face to face? Most of the people who said this were people brought by Shinta Tianyin. They couldn't wait to make a big fuss. The voices of doubt grew, and Yi Kuan and Mu Jianfeng's faces grew uglier. The policemen stood there like wooden blocks, neither releasing Charlotte nor taking Charlotte away. They weren't fools. Although they didn't know Ling Hao's real identity, the soldiers standing behind him were all big shots. How could a person who could walk with these big shots be insignificant? Therefore, they decided to observe the situation and then make a plan. At this time, Ling Hao said, how about this? You release Charlotte first. The policemen didn't hesitate. They uncuffed Charlotte and released Charlotte. The soldiers also whispered a few words, and then one of them walked to Ling Hao's ear and whispered something. Ling Hao said again, how about this? Let's not talk about who stole whose patented technology for now. This is something for the judge to decide. Before that, the representative of the military wants to see your 2 assault rifles. After a pause, he said, prepare the ammunition and go to the shooting range. Since the big shot of the military had spoken, Yi Kuan couldn't go against it. He had to bite the bullet and nodded, then sent someone to get the guns and ammunition. Ling Hao pulled Charlotte to the exhibition area of the Thunder Horse military factory and talked to him. What's going on? Charlotte said, that's why I called you just now. Yi Kuan and Mu Jianfeng came to destroy our exhibition. He pointed to the exhibition area of the Thunder Horse military factory and said with an aggrieved face, Brother Ling, you can see that this is the exhibition area they arranged for me. It's not an exhibition area. It's a sincere insult to me. The employees of the Thunder Horse military factory and I contributed to the construction of national defense. We worked hard without complaint. But what did we get? This is nonsense. Who gave him the right? Ling Hao is also very angry. The Thunder Horse military factory, which was known as a dark horse by the 4 military industry, was being discriminated against and insulted at home. This was simply unbearable. Also, this matter is that Hanwoo Weapons Company and Shinjo Industry Group bribed commercial spies to steal our technology, but they framed us and wanted to arrest me. This matter, you have to give me justice. Charlotte continued to pretend to be deeply aggrieved. Ling Hao said, don't worry if the truth is found out. Even Yi Kuan and Mu Jianfeng can't escape punishment. Charlotte nodded, but secretly said in his heart, the truth? With the evidence in my hands, even a blind person will convict Yi Kuan and Mu Jianfeng. Several military bigwigs were looking at the guns in the exhibition area of the Thunder Horse military factory and talking in low voices. Someone picked up the XL 2500 sniper rifle and praised it. Someone picked up the Gale assault rifle with a surprised look on his face. Charlotte and Shinta Tianyin looked at each other, and there was an imperceptible smile on the faces of the couple. The situation was developing as Charlotte had planned, and of course, the couple would not be in a bad mood. However, on the surface, they still had to pretend to be bullied and persecuted. The recoil is almost zero. A soldier exclaimed, then looked at Charlotte with bright eyes. Is this true? Charlotte said politely, Sir, of course it is true. Otherwise we would not dare to write it in the manual. How is this possible? The soldier still did not believe it. Charlotte said, Sir, when Hanwoo Weapons Company brings their Shinwoo assault rifle here, You can go to the shooting range and test our Gale assault rifle. Then you will know whether it is true or not. Okay, I will test it myself. The soldier's voice was loud, and there was a hint of excitement in his tone. If China's military was equipped with this Gale assault rifle with almost zero recoil, their combat power would increase by more than a little. Who in the neighboring countries would dare to challenge the authority of China's military? Ling Hao also picked up a Gale assault rifle and weighed it in his hand. Charlotte, if your Gale assault rifle is really so advanced, I will apply for a special merit for you, and you'll be the father of our country's rifle. Father of the rifle? When she heard this, Shidu Tianin's dimples inexplicably reddened. She didn't say anything, but she muttered in her heart, "What kind of messed up honor is this? My stomach hasn't even moved yet." You gave him the title of Father of Rifles, and he has already become the Father of Rifles. What about me? The atmosphere at Thunder Horse Military Factory was getting more and more relaxed, but the atmosphere at Hanwoo Weapons Company was like a dark cloud, ready to rain at any time. Yi Kuin's face was even darker than the dark clouds. Damn it, we were just about to be done, but Ling Hao had to come. Mu Jianfeng was also frowning. Ah Kuin, I have a bad feeling about this. Think again. Is there anything wrong? Yi Kuin thought for a moment, then shook his head. No, absolutely not. We have the patent certificate, the international order. We can prove that this rifle was designed and produced by us. Charlotte did not even apply for the patent. How can he prove that this rifle was designed by Thunder Horse Military Factory? He will definitely lose the lawsuit. Then there is no problem with the gun, right? Yi Kuin said, "There will be no problem. We have tested it. The performance is excellent. Besides, the guns produced by the Thunder Horse Army Factory with the same blueprints and technical parameters are not that good. Could it be that they are much better than us?" Mu Jianfeng was silent for a moment, his mood slightly better. Well, send someone over to call the people from Thunder Horse Military Factory to the shooting range. We will settle him there. Yi Kuin glanced at the people around him. His eyes finally fell on Yi Xiaoqi. "Xiaoqi, go inform the people from Thunder Horse Military Factory. I will take the gun to the shooting range first." Yi Xiaoqi smiled sweetly. "Okay, Chairman Yi, I will go right away." Chapter 499. The shooting range was in an open space behind the exhibition hall. There was only a 300-meter target, nothing further. However, even 300-meter was a hurdle that most assault rifles could not overcome. There were not many assault rifles that could reach 300-meter effective range in the market. Beyond this distance, there was no way to aim. Yi Kuin, Mu Jianfeng, and Charlotte all appeared at the shooting range, along with Ling Hao and a few representatives from military. As for the media reporters, businessmen, and onlookers, it was needless to say that there were countless of them. An employee from Hanwoo Weapons Company took out a Shenwu assault rifle. It was exactly the same as the Gale assault rifle from Thunder Horse Military Factory. There was no difference in size, shape, or caliber. If the two assault rifles were put together, it would be hard to tell which was whose. Ling Hao and the other military representatives were puzzled by the situation. It was hard to say who was the one who copied the same gun. Which gun was better? It was hard to tell because the two guns not only looked the same, but even the ammunition was the same. Ling Hao pulled Charlotte to the side and said worriedly, "Charlotte, I see that both your guns are the same, and the ammunition is the same. Are you sure that your gun is better than Hanwoo Weapons Company's? If there is no difference in performance, and Yi Kuin has the patent, if he insists that you stole their technology, you will be in trouble." Xiao Lei smiled. "Don't worry, Brother Ling. If their imitation guns are as good as ours, I have nothing to say. I'll admit defeat." Bang, bang, bang. The tester from Hanwoo Weapons Company held the Shenwu assault rifle and fired at the target 300 meters away. 3 shots were fired, and each hit the target. "This gun is good." A military representative could not help but exclaim. He walked over and said, "Give me the gun, let me try." The tester from Hanwoo Weapons Company handed the Shenwu assault rifle to the military representative and retreated to the side. Bang, bang, bang. The military representative who was testing the gun fired a clip of bullets at the target, and most of the bullets hit the target. However, The firing speed and power were impressive. Good gun. This gun is more powerful than the AK-47, and it's more stable. Not bad, not bad. It should be the best assault rifle in our country. The military representative was not stingy with his compliments. When these words fell into Yi Kuan and Mu Jianfeng's ears, both of them could not help but smile. The rock in their hearts finally fell to the ground. Do you see that? It's the same blueprint, the same gun. Charlotte thinks they can make it better than us? Dream on. Yi Kuan said with a smile. Mu Jianfeng said indifferently, this matter should be over. I really don't want to see Charlotte's face anymore. The biggest mistake he made was entering the military industry. Was this something he could play with? Childish. Not bad, not bad. This gun should be equipped in our army. The officer who was testing the gun put down the Divine Martial assault rifle and walked over to the corridor. Mr. Xia, let me try your gun. Charlotte handed the Gale assault rifle to the military representative. The military representative held the Gale assault rifle and looked at it, then shook his head. This is the exact same gun. I'm sure the effect is the same. There was a commotion all around. The exact same gun. Doesn't that mean the performance is the same? How could this be? If that's the case, it's really hard to tell who stole whose patented technology. Sigh. The Thunderhorse military factory is in trouble this time. These discussions fell into Charlotte's ears, but he did not react at all. He still maintained a faint smile on his face, looking very confident. Charlotte, don't think about getting lucky. Yi Kuan sneered. When the gun test is over, you will accept your fate. My fate? Charlotte smiled. Chief, please try the gun. The military representative who was testing the gun glanced at Xiaolei, then pulled off the safety and started shooting at target. Bang, bang, bang. A stream of bullets flew out from the muzzle in the blink of an eye. Every bullet hit the target. Not only was the firing speed faster, but it was also more powerful. What was even stranger was that after shooting so many bullets, the Gale assault rifle only shook a little. Even the recoil of a pistol was stronger than this kind of shaking. The recoil was almost zero. That was what the manual of the Gale assault rifle described, and it was the same in reality. The officer testing the gun did not stop until he had emptied an entire magazine. He stared at the Gale assault rifle in his hands, stunned for a long time, unable to say a word. The surroundings were also silent. Everyone was looking at the officer testing the gun and the Gale assault rifle in his hands. How is this possible? Yi Kuan finally came back to his senses. His expression was very strange. Mu Jianfeng's face was gloomy. Didn't you say there was no problem? How would I know? Didn't you see it too? The two guns are exactly the same. Yi Kuan was a little flustered. He tried to remember what had gone wrong, but he could not remember anything at all. At this time, the officer testing the gun came back to his senses. He laughed and said, "Miracle, miracle, miracle." That was what he said. 3 miracles in a row. Ling Hao could not help but hug Charlotte excitedly. "Ha! You brat, you're really something. This gun deserves to be the world's #1 assault rifle." The officer testing the gun walked over excitedly. "Mr. Xiao, what's going on? It's the same gun, but the performance is so different." Charlotte was about to speak, but Yi Kuan could not hold it in any longer. He walked over in big strides. "Impossible. Please try our gun again." The same gun hit a target 300 meters away. How could there be such a big difference? It must be the problem with this gun. It's not mass-produced, it's modified. Is that so? The officer testing the gun looked at Charlotte and asked. Charlotte did not return. Instead, he took another brand new Gale assault rifle from a staff member. He loaded the magazine, opened the safety, and aimed at a new target. Bang, bang, bang. The Gale assault rifle vibrated slightly. The bullets all hit the target and smashed it. Yi Kuan's lips moved. He wanted to say something, but could not. He actually wanted to say that the gun in Charlotte's hand was also modified, but even he found it ridiculous. Charlotte did not empty the magazine. He pointed at a lightning rod on the roof of a building in the distance and said, "Officers, do you see that lightning rod? It's about 1 kilometer away. The effective range of the Gale assault rifle is 1 kilometer. I'm going to use the gun in my hand to hit that lightning rod. You can use your telescopic device to watch." As soon as he said this, even the onlookers could not stay calm. Not to mention using a rifle to hit a lightning rod from a kilometer away. Even a sniper rifle would have a hard time hitting it. Several military representatives and Ling Hao were also tongue-tied and could not believe it. A female staff member of the Thunder Horse military factory handed a scope to Charlotte, and Charlotte skillfully installed it on the gun. The military representative who had tested the gun suddenly said, "Mr. Xia, if you use your gun to hit a lightning rod from a kilometer away, I will immediately report and buy your gun." "Okay, it's a deal." Charlotte raised the gun and aimed. He did not need a scope, but if he did that, others would definitely see him as a monster. After all, most people here could not even see the lightning rod from a kilometer away, let alone hit it with a gun. Several female staff members of the Thunder Horse military factory then handed a scope to several military representatives to make it easier for them to watch Charlotte's shooting performance. Yi Kuan and Mu Jianfeng could not help but stare at the lightning rod with their scopes. Bang! A gunshot rang out. A kilometer away, the lightning rod standing on the top of the building burst into a ball of sparks and shook violently. Not only that, but the originally straight lightning rod bent under the impact of the bullet. God of guns! His marksmanship was even more godly. The audience was silent. Not a single sound could be heard. After a full 10 seconds, several military representatives came back to their senses. "Ha ha! Mr. Xia, we have no choice but to sell your gun." A military representative laughed out loud, and the other military representatives were also very excited. Ling Hao patted Charlotte's shoulder and did not say anything, but his face was full of smiles and his eyes were full of respect. Shen Tianyin was also very happy at this moment. Half of the honor that Charlotte had received was hers, and she was proud of him. This is not fair. Yi Kuan was anxious. The military representatives had expressed their stance like this, which meant that Charlotte was most likely able to take the military's big order. What did this have to do with his Han Wu Weapons Company? Yi Kuan and Mu Jianfeng had set up a trap for Charlotte and wanted to drive Charlotte out of the military industry. Wasn't it to monopolize this market? Now, Charlotte had actually taken the order in the face of adversity. How could the two of them accept this? Senior officers. Mu Jianfeng could not hold it in any longer. He came over and said, "Charlotte is a sharpshooter. This is not fair to Han Wu Weapons Company. We can also find someone who is good at shooting and use our rifles to hit a target a kilometer away. You all have seen that the guns are actually the same guns. There is no difference in performance at all." The military representatives whispered to each other, obviously discussing Mu Jianfeng's suggestion. Charlotte said, "There is no need for you to hit a target a kilometer away. You can use your rifles to shoot 500 rounds. If you can still hit a target 300 meters away, I will consider it your win." Yi Kuan was stunned for a moment, then suddenly said, "That is what you said." Mu Jianfeng then gave a look to the Hanwu Weapons Company tester. The tester took a Shenwu assault rifle and started shooting. Bang, bang, bang. The bullet shells bounced and fell to the ground with a tinkling sound. Every bullet was like a drum beat, pounding on Mu Jianfeng and Yi Kuan's hearts. Why would Charlotte say such a thing? Mu Jianfeng and Yi Kuan were not idiots. On the contrary, they were both very smart and cunning people. They had already realized that there must be a reason why Charlotte dared to say such a thing. It was this reason that they did not know that made their hearts uneasy. They could not calm down even for a moment. Until now, Yi Kuan still did not know what the problem was. He still believed that the Shenwu assault rifle from Hanwu Weapons Company was fine, because it had already gone through a very strict inspection by Hanwu Weapons Company. Bang, 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 the gunshots continued. Chapter 500. The sound of gunfire was deafening. The Hanwu Weapons Company's Shenwu assault rifle was roaring like an enraged beast. Bullets flew out of the muzzle one after another. Some hit the target 300 meters away, while others flew to other places. Whether it was the military representatives, businessmen, or the onlookers, everyone could see that the Hanwu Weapons Company's Shenwu assault rifle was a far cry from the Thunder Horse military factory's Gale assault rifle. More importantly, as the shooting time dragged on, The Shinwu assault rifle shook more and more violently. Before it could fire 500 bullets, it lost its aim. It could no longer hit the target 300 meters away. What's going on? What's going on? Yi Kun had already realized something was wrong. His face was pale, and his forehead was covered in cold sweat. Ah, Kun, didn't you say there was no problem? Didn't you say there was no problem? Mu Jianfeng said angrily. Is this what you meant by no problem? Teacher, it's the same blueprint. Why is there such a big difference between the guns produced? I don't understand, but I'm sure there's nothing wrong. Didn't you see it too? The Thunder Horse Military Factory's gun is exactly the same as ours. Things had already developed to this point, but Yi Kun still stubbornly held on to a sliver of hope. Oomph. What our gun? Mu Jianfeng said coldly. That's a gun designed and produced by your Hanwu Weapons Company. It has nothing to do with me. Yi Kun was stunned. Teacher, Mu Jianfeng had already shut his mouth. He did not want to say another word to Yi Kun. When there were benefits, Sun Mo's teacher would appear with the kindness he had shown him in the past, wanting a share of the profits. When there was a problem, the teacher would draw the line to avoid getting himself into trouble. This was Yi Kun's teacher. This was the old fox, Mu Jianfeng. At his age, at his level, it would be hard not to be cunning. The tester from Hanwu Weapons Company had already fired 500 bullets. The gun barrel was burning, and so was his forehead. Even in the cold winter, he was covered in cold sweat. He looked at Yi Kun with a serious expression. He did not say anything, but his expression and gaze were telling Yi Kun that he was holding a crappy gun. Several military representatives also looked at Yi Kun in unison, their eyes full of doubt and dissatisfaction. Just now, Yi Kun had claimed that the Thunder Horse Military Factory had stolen Hanwu Weapons Company's patented technology and wanted to capture Charlotte to investigate. But now, anyone with a discerning eye could tell who had stolen whose technology, and that the theft had been unsuccessful. Every single one of these military representatives was a big shot. No matter which one of them made a move, it would cause an uproar. The real punishment had yet to befall him, but just being stared at by them made Yi Kun's hair stand on end, as if he was sitting on pins and needles. At this time, Charlotte said, I believe everyone has seen it. Chairman Yi from Hanwu Weapons Company said that I stole their company's patented technology. He also said that their guns are the same as ours. Do you believe what he said? Immediately, a burst of laughter erupted from the surroundings. Comparing people, Yi Kun was already miles ahead of Charlotte. In terms of guns, the Gale Assault Rifle was far superior to the Divine Martial Assault Rifle. Now, without any evidence, no one was willing to believe Yi Kun's words. Chairman Yi, don't you have any explanation for what happened? Ling Hao's voice was cold, and there was obvious anger in it. Yi Kun bit the bullet and said, I'm actually not very clear about what happened. Our company's design department developed this kind of rifle and then put into production. I don't know how they designed it. It's such a big company. How can I personally ask about everything? Then why did you insist that Charlotte stole your company's patented technology? Ling Hao's eyes also turned cold. Yi Kun paused for a moment, then stuttered. This matter was handled by our company's legal team. I only found out after I went back to investigate. Don't worry, Mr. Ling. This matter is definitely a misunderstanding, but I will not let anyone who made a mistake go. Those who should be released will be released, and those who should be held accountable will be held accountable. Like a cicada shedding its carapace, Yi Kun being able to get to where he was today was not easy to deal with. He simply found a few underlings to take the blame, and he himself would stay out of it and keep a low profile for a while. Ling Hao frowned. Although he knew that Yi Kun was trying to suppress the Thunder Horse Military Factory and even framed Charlotte, there was no evidence, so he could not do anything to Yi Kun. At this time, Charlotte walked in front of Yi Kun and said lightly, Chairman Yi, I actually envy you very much. What are you envious of me for? Yi Kun avoided Charlotte's gaze, his heart full of hatred and disgust. At this time, the person he least wanted to see was Charlotte, but he had to talk to Charlotte. Charlotte said, Look at you, the chairman of Hanwu Weapon Company, committing a crime without any cost. I didn't commit a crime, and I was almost arrested by you just now. Tell me, We are all human. Why is there such a big gap between us? If I don't envy you, who do I envy? Yi Kun said coldly. Don't talk nonsense. This is a misunderstanding. I have already made it very clear just now. It must be my men who did not know the situation and made a mistake. I need some time to find out, and then I can deal with it. This matter will definitely have a result. Why are you in such a hurry? Charlotte laughed. Chairman, you want to find someone to take the blame, right? Charlotte. Yi Kun was angry. I'm giving you face. Don't push your luck. I've already agreed to investigate. What else do you want? Justice. Charlotte shouted at Yi Kun. I want justice. Charlotte suddenly seemed to have changed into a different person. No longer a gentle businessman, but a soldier on the battlefield, a beast in the forest. Yi Kun was stunned for a moment, but he quickly calmed down. Justice? Go find whoever owes you justice. Let me tell you, this matter has nothing to do with me, and you can't blame me for it. I will say this here. If you think it is unfair, you can go to court and sue me. I will fight you to the end. I really can't believe you are still so arrogant even now. A smile appeared on Charlotte's face again, his tone calm. Chairman Yi, you have done so many bad things for the past few decades, but you can still sit in the position of Hanwoo Weapons Company's chairman, enjoying all the glory and splendor, and no one can blame you. Your crime has no cost. But that is for other people. Today you will be facing me. The crime you committed against me will never have no cost. Yi Kun was so angry that he laughed. You are quite arrogant today, but this is the only time. I don't want to gossip with you today, so that's it. You can continue to show off your eloquence here. I will not accompany you. With that, he waved his hand. Let's go. A large group of Hanwoo Weapons Company employees packed up and prepared to leave the shooting range. However, Charlotte reached out and grabbed Yi Kun's shoulder. What are you trying to do? Yi Kun turned around and glared at Charlotte. Let go. Charlotte smiled. Chairman Yi, you can't leave today. Ha ha ha. Yi Kun laughed. Why, you want to hit me? Sure, hit me. I promise I won't fight back. Charlotte did not hit Yi Kun. Yi Kun said sarcastically. That's all you've got. Even if I gave you 10 guts, you wouldn't dare to hit me. Charlotte said, I won't hit you, but I want to show you something. Yi Kun was stunned for a moment. He did not know why, but he felt nervous. Charlotte let go of Yi Kun's shoulder and said loudly, Everyone, please look at the big screen. There was a large electronic screen set up at the side of the shooting range, used to display the shooting scene and slogans. Just as Charlotte's voice fell, the electronic screen on the side suddenly switched, attracting everyone's attention. On the electronic screen, in a coffee shop, Yi Xiaoqi was urging Wu Bin to pass the blueprint to her, but Wu Bin emphasized that he wanted to see the money first. Yi Xiaoqi opened the password box and opened the money for Wu Bin. Wu Bin opened the briefcase and showed the blueprint to Yi Xiaoqi. The picture froze, and the huge electronic screen showed the blueprint of the Storm Assault Rifle of Thunder Horse Military Factory, and even the logo of Thunder Horse Military Factory could be seen on it. After the transaction, Yi Xiaoqi left the coffee shop with a briefcase containing the blueprint, and then entered the headquarters building of Hanwoo Weapons Company. Ling Hao's eyes suddenly moved to Yi Xiaoqi, who was standing behind Yi Kun. Not only Ling Hao, but several military representatives also looked at Yi Xiaoqi. Yi Xiaoqi was Yi Kun's secretary, but would a small secretary do such a thing without Yi Kun's instructions? Under everyone's gaze, Yi Xiaoqi's face was pale. She was very nervous and stammered, This has nothing to do with me. Yes. She looked at Yi Kun and did not dare to go on. Yi Kun also panicked. Yi Xiaoqi, what do you want to say? You should take responsibility for what you did. Yi Xiaoqi opened her mouth and was speechless. Last night, they were still kissing each other, but now they were strangers. This Yi Kun, he changed his attitude faster than flipping a book. Yi Kun winked at Yi Xiaoqi, giving her a hint. The picture on the screen stopped. Mu Jianfeng came over and stood beside Yi Xiaoqi, whispering, Take responsibility for this. You won't go to jail. As long as you agree, you will be rich for the rest of your life. Yi Xiaoqi's heart was in a mess, and she did not know what to do. However, just when everyone thought that this was the evidence and that this was the end of the incident, the picture on the screen changed again. In the picture, Yi Kuan and Yi Xiaoqi were talking, praising her for doing a good job. Then, the two of them entered the lounge and made love in the lounge. However, this picture was censored, and some unsightly scenes were not shown. This process was also very short, only a few seconds. The picture suddenly stopped. Yi Kuan's forehead was covered in cold sweat. Yes, yes. Mu Jianfeng left Yi Xiaoqi's side and looked at Charlotte with a smile. Charlotte, well done. You have proved your innocence. Not bad. Thunder Horse Military Factory's Gale Assault Rifle is worthy of being the best rifle in the world. I am proud that our country has a talent like you. Charlotte laughed. The picture on the screen suddenly had new content. Chapter 501. On the screen, Yi Kuan and Mu Jianfeng were having a secret conversation. On the coffee table between the two of them were the blueprints stolen from the Thunder Horse Military Factory. Yi Kuan suddenly laughed out loud. Although that kid Xia Lei is our opponent, I can't help but admire him. That kid really is a genius in machinery. Just this blueprint alone is already much more advanced than the assault rifle designed by our Hanwu Weapons Company. Yi Kuan, there's no need to organize experts to appraise it. This gun can be made. Mu Jianfeng said, this gun is a new type of rifle developed by our two companies. Get a new name. Yi Kuan looked at Mu Jianfeng blankly, not saying a word. Mu Jianfeng smiled. Yi Kuan, are you not willing? Teacher, no, both of us have bribed the commercial spies of the Thunder Horse Military Factory. Your commercial spies succeeded, mine did not. Then let's do it this way. Your Hanwu Weapons Company will take 60%, and our Xinzhou Industry Group will take 40%. Yi Kuan hesitated for a moment, and finally nodded. Then let's do it this way. Who asked you to be my teacher? Ha ha, I have always thought highly of you. You have me in your heart, so it was not in vain that I helped you back then. Mu Jianfeng said with a smile. Teacher, since it is a cooperation between our two companies, I will call this assault rifle the Divine Martial Assault Rifle. Take one word from each of our companies. Yi Kuan said. Divine Martial, this name is not bad. Let's use this name. Mu Jianfeng was very happy. I will immediately call the patent office and apply for a patent to block off Charlotte's escape route. The scene ended here. Everyone's gazes were focused on Mu Jianfeng. No one spoke, but their gazes were as if they were looking at an annoying and disgusting mouse. Mu Jianfeng's face no longer had a trace of smile on it. His face was also pale, and his forehead was covered in cold sweat. If Charlotte had only handed the evidence to the court and let the court give him justice, he still had room to maneuver and prevent the evidence from being exposed or even mysteriously disappear. However, Charlotte played the evidence in public, and it was seen by many media reporters. In this way, even if he had heaven-defying methods, he would not be able to shut the mouths of the people in the world. Mu Jianfeng was filled with regret. If he had not been greedy for the political capital of the Xinwu assault rifle and the related monetary benefits, he would not have met Yi Kuan and forcefully taken the title and 40% of the profits. Now, he could have pulled himself out and let Yi Kuan bear the responsibility alone, but Charlotte announced the evidence, so he couldn't even pull himself out. Charlotte smiled and said, Chairman Mu, don't you have anything to say? Only then did Mu Jianfeng come back to his senses. He looked at Charlotte, his eyes cold. Charlotte, good, very good. You've got some tricks up your sleeve. You won, but you won't always win. Let's wait and see. Mu Jianfeng turned around and left. Yi Kuan froze for a moment, then followed Mu Jianfeng's footsteps and left. Xiao Lei did not stop the two of them from leaving because doing so would be useless. He could not use his power as a police officer to arrest them, nor could he use his power as a judge to give them a satisfactory verdict. He could only do what was within his power and wait for justice. Charlotte, these things... Ling Hao came over and wanted to ask Charlotte something, but he suddenly changed his words. Forget it. With your ability, it's not difficult to get such evidence. I'm too lazy to ask. Give me the evidence, and I'll give you justice. Charlotte nodded and said with a smile, Thanks, Brother Ling. No need to be so polite with me. Let's go take a look at your gun. Ling Hao held onto Charlotte's shoulder, and the two chatted intimately as they walked towards the exhibition hall. Back at the exhibition hall, a group of people were waiting there. Before Charlotte got close, someone came up to greet him. Chairman Xia, it's all my fault. I didn't do my job well. The person who spoke had a big belly and looked like a leader. Next to him was another person with a similar figure, who was also full of smiles. I'm really sorry, Chairman Xia. Charlotte interrupted him. Who are you? Well, I'm the president of the Arms Exhibition Management Association. My surname is also Xia Wentao. We're still the same family. The first person who spoke said, I'm the curator of this exhibition hall. My surname is Ma Dingue. Another person also introduced himself. Charlotte said, Why are you looking for me? It's like this. Xiao Wentao said apologetically, I didn't do my job well. It was a moment of negligence. Some staff were instructed by Yi Kuan to specially arrange the exhibition hall of the Thunder Horse Army factory here. Ma Dingue also said, No matter what, it's our fault. We know we're wrong and we'll change. We've specially arranged a new exhibition hall for Chairman Xia. I've also brought the people, and I'll help you move immediately. What do you think? Charlotte smiled. I'm doing well here. Why should I move? Ma Dingue said in a low voice, Chairman Xia, please. Charlotte sneered his heart and did not agree. If he hadn't defeated Yi Kuan and Mu Jianfeng, would these two people have appeared here to apologize to him in a low voice? And would they have rearranged the exhibition hall for the Thunder Horse Army factory? They wouldn't have. Now that Yi Kuan and Mu Jianfeng were in trouble, these two people came to be fence-sitters and sided with him. Why should he make things convenient for such people? Xiao Wentao also came to persuade. Chairman Xia, the exhibition hall we've arranged for you is the largest exhibition hall in the entire exhibition hall. The booth is ready, and we're just waiting for you to go over. Just give me face and move over. Charlotte still did not agree. He just looked at Xiao Wentao and Ma Dingue indifferently. The two of them made him feel a little disgusted. Ling Hao said aloud, Ma Dingue, Xiao Wentao, right? You can go back and wait for the investigation. Xiao Wentao and Ma Dingue were stunned on the spot, not knowing what to do. A military representative said angrily, You people eat and use the country. You take the salary that the country gives you, but you work for Yi Kuan, that kind of dignitary, and you still have the face to beg Mr. Xia. The Thunder Horse Army Factory is the best military enterprise in our country. The XL 2500 sniper rifle is famous all over the world, and the Gale assault rifle is a miracle in the rifle world. How dare you put these two guns on display next to the toilet? You must have eaten a leopard's guts. Ma Dingue and Xia Wentao wanted to say something, but stopped. Get lost. The military representative who spoke roared. Ma Dingue and Xia Wentao did not dare to stay any longer and left dejectedly. Ling Hao looked at Charlotte. Charlotte, do you want to move? If you do, I'll get someone to arrange it for you. Charlotte smiled. Several leaders know about our Gale assault rifle, and so many businessmen know about it. I don't think it's necessary to trouble them anymore. Ling Hao came over and whispered, Brother, there are so many reporters. You put the two best guns in the world next to the toilet, and it's in the form of a stall. If this report gets out, it will be a slap in the face. I think it's better to move it. Okay, I'll move it right away. Charlotte did not think of this level, but he understood when Ling Hao said it. That was true. The Gale assault rifle was bound to cause a sensation all over the world. There was no lack of domestic and foreign media hype. If the Thunder Horse Army Factory still put up a stall next to the toilet, it would be a loss of face for the whole country. This kind of thing cannot be done. The Thunder Horse Army Factory moved to a new exhibition area, a better location, a larger space, and a ready-made exhibition stand, which was beautiful. Charlotte was also busy. First, he accompanied several military representatives to discuss the order. Then he received businessmen from abroad, and finally he had to deal with media interviews. Fortunately, he had Shinda Tianyin, a good wife, to help him share a lot of the burden. After sending away several military representatives and Ling Hao, Charlotte relaxed a little and finally had a little time to rest. Look at you, you're sweating. Tianyin came over and wiped the sweat on Charlotte's forehead with a tissue. Charlotte felt warm in his heart. He said with a smile, Tianyin, you're also tired. Tell me, how do you want me to repay you? Tianyin grinned and said, well, can you give me a massage when we go home tonight? Okay, I'll give you a massage when we get home. You can massage as much as you want. Charlotte couldn't help but think of a charming picture in his mind. Mountains, valleys, white full moon. He could never get enough of her beauty. Just as Charlotte and Tianyin were flirting with each other in a car, Yi Kuan was shouting at Yi Xiaoqi. You bitch! Look at what you've done. You've killed me. How'd I kill you? Yi Xiaoqi threw caution to the wind and spat. I'll do whatever you want me to do. You were the one who ordered me to do everything. Don't be mean to me. When the investigation is over, I'll tell them everything. Don't you dare. Why wouldn't I dare? At this point, what else can I expect from you? Let me tell you, Yi, when the investigation team comes, I'll not only tell them about this, but I'll also tell them all the good things you've done. Yi Kuan was suddenly discouraged, and his face changed into a smile. Xiaoqi, my baby, I said that just now because I lost control. Don't take it to heart. Later, I'll give you 100,000, no, 200,000. You can use it to decorate the new house, okay? Humph. That's more like it. That's more like it. I work for you and sleep with you. You want me to be your scapegoat? No way. At most, I'll wait for my Kato eagle to come back, and then I'll leave this country with him. Yi Xiaoqi said. Kato, Hyrus Suk. Yi Kuan suddenly remembered something that gave him a headache. *T, it's the delivery time in 2 days. If Kato Hirasuk knows what happened today, will he still want our Shenwu assault rifle? Yi Xiaoqi looked at Yi Kuan with a sneer. You're really unlucky. Xiaoqi, my Xiaoqi, when Kato Eagle comes to pick up the goods, help me put in a good word and hide it from him. Don't worry, I'll give you another 500,000. What do you think? Okay, I'll help you and help you hide it. But today, I just want to see the money. I'll give it to you when we get back. Yi Kuan had no other way. Yi Xiaoqi secretly said in her heart, I still want to live with Kato Eagle. Will I hide it from him? I'll take the money and tell Kato Eagle the truth. Let's see how he'll deal with you. My Kato, where are you? Chapter 502. Charlotte. This name was like a wild storm, suddenly sweeping the world. There were tens of millions of searches about Charlotte and the Gale assault rifle, as well as the XL 2500 sniper rifle. His photos, the Gale assault rifle and the XL 2500 sniper rifle that he developed also appeared on the front page of the online and print media. The father of rifles, this was the honorary title that China bestowed upon Charlotte. This title also became the most cited keyword by the major media. With the overwhelming coverage, Charlotte's past was also dug out by the media. He came from an ordinary family, went to an ordinary school, and only had a high school education. Also, his experience of working at the construction site and his love life were reported, and he unexpectedly became the idol of tens of thousands of young people. His inspirational life experience also became a typical example for parents and teachers to educate their children. This kind of idol worship was not the worship of a star because the positive energy that Charlotte possessed was not comparable to those so-called stars. With the advent of the Gale assault rifle, Charlotte's life seemed to stand on an unsurpassable peak. But he knew that his road had just begun, and he also did not know what was at the end of this road. 101 Innings Headquarters, Sherborne's office. Sherborne gave Charlotte a rare hug. A dignified, square face, full of smiles, like a happy big child. You brat, I don't even know what words to use to describe your deeds. In short, our country has a talent like you. It is really a great fortune for our country. Charlotte also smiled. Boss, sure, you flatter me. It is my honor to be able to do something for this country. Also, can you let go of me? My bones are cracking. You brat. Sherborne released Charlotte, but patted his shoulder. Charlotte's brows immediately wrinkled. This time, it was quite painful. In the office, Long Bing and Tang Yin looked at the two men speechlessly. Then tell me, Sherborne looked at Charlotte. Now everyone knows that Yi Kuan stole your blueprint to produce the Shenwu assault rifle. But the assault rifle produced by Hanwu Weapons Company is exactly the same as the Gale assault rifle produced by your Thunder Horse military factory. Why is the performance so different? Charlotte said, It's very simple. I designed a shock absorber. It's in the Gale assault rifle. It can reduce the vibration caused by shooting and provide continuous stability for the gun. Therefore, even when shooting at high speed, the gun will not shake at all. Sherborne exclaimed, So that's how it is. You're really a genius. Tang Yuyin said, Charlotte, the drawings you gave Yi Kuan didn't include this kind of shock absorber, right? Without your shock absorber, it would be a wonder if the Hanwu Weapons Company's guns didn't have any accidents. Charlotte smiled. Give? He's the one who stole it. Tang Yuyin curled the corner of her mouth. Shinda Tianyin has led you astray. She must have given you this idea, right? Shinda Tianyin was also involved in such a thing. Tang Yuyin's intention to ruin Shinda Tianyin had never stopped. Charlotte was speechless and didn't know what to say. However, the more Tang Yuyin behaved like this, the more he felt that he owed her. If he had chosen Tang Yuyin back then, how would his life have changed? This question seemed redundant now, but sometimes when he faced Tang Yuyin, he couldn't help but think in this direction. He would also think of the time he spent with her in Afghanistan, in Moscow, and in Jerusalem. A woman who sparked with you in a hail of bullets, went through life and death with you, and loved you deeply. Could you forget her? Others might be able to, but Charlotte couldn't. Well, how Shinda Tianyin and Charlotte live is their business. Let's not talk about it. The quiet Long Bing finally spoke. She handed a file bag in her hand to Charlotte. It's all ready for you. Take a look. This is everything you need to go to Country Yard. Charlotte opened the file bag and saw the things inside. A health insurance certificate, a driver's license, a bunch of keys, and 2 bank savings cards. One was from the Central Bank of Japan, and the other was from a Mitsubishi UFJ Bank of Tokyo. Whether it was the health insurance certificate or the driver's license, the name on it was Kato Itsuki. The photo was also of another face. It was the face of Kato Itsuki, the arms dealer who had finalized a $200 million order with Yi Kuan. After looking at it, Charlotte said, There's still a week. I'll be ready to go this week. Sherborne smiled and said, I'm not worried at all. I'll be waiting for you to come back and celebrate. Charlotte smiled bitterly. Mr. Sure, it's easy for you to say. Country Yard seems stable, but because of the power of the Americans there, this trip to Country Yard will be more dangerous than a trip to Jerusalem. That's no problem. I'm optimistic about you. Sherborne reached out to pat Charlotte on the shoulder, but Charlotte dodged. He frowned and said, Although there's still a week to go, you should make a decision today. Long Bing and Tang Yuyin, who will assist you this time? Tang Yuyin and Long Bing's eyes focused on Charlotte at the same time, and their eyes were full of expectation. Charlotte was a little embarrassed. Do I have to make this decision so early? Sherborne said, Of course. If you decide in advance, that person can be prepared early. Then, Charlotte looked at Tang Yuyin and then looked at Long Bing. Finally, he bit the bullet and said, Then Long Bing it will be. A smile suddenly appeared on Long Bing's face. Tang Yuyin said angrily, Charlotte, you did it on purpose, didn't you? Charlotte avoided Tang Yuyin's eyes. He didn't know how to explain it to her. The reason why he chose Long Bing instead of Tang Yuyin was very simple. It was because Tang Yuyin had never stopped thinking of causing trouble. The last time she wrote, Tang Yuyin was here, on his buttocks, was a typical example. On this trip to Japan, they would be alone. If Tang Yuyin had the intention to harm him, and he couldn't resist the temptation and really did something with her, the first person to know would probably be Shinda Tianyin. He completely believed that Tang Yuyin would do such a thing. But choosing Long Bing didn't have such trouble. Charlotte didn't say anything, but Long Bing didn't listen. Yuyin, what do you mean? Do I have to choose you? Long Bing, do you want to quarrel? Tang Yuyin was in a bad mood. Sherborne snorted. All right. You're going to carry out a mission, not to travel and date. Why are you arguing? Get out of here. I don't want to see you. The 3 juniors left the office. As soon as they were out of the door, Tang Yuyin grabbed Charlotte's hand. It's fine if you don't choose me. Give me a Gale assault rifle. No, too. My brother also wants one. Charlotte was speechless. An hour later, Charlotte returned to Shinta Tianin's house. Shinta Tianin was already asleep. Charlotte quietly entered the room and placed a cloth bag on the bedside table. At this moment, Shinta Tianin suddenly woke up. She turned on the lights and looked at Charlotte with sleepy eyes. The boss of 101 innings is really something. He called you over to talk until so late. Can we talk tomorrow? 101 innings isn't an ordinary organization. There are no working hours there. As he spoke, Charlotte took off a pair of clothes and got under the covers. The covers were warm and filled with Shinta Tianin's charming body fragrance. She only had a set of red underwear on her body. Her thighs were smooth and delicate. When he touched them, he was secretly excited. There was also a hint of heat in his lower abdomen. Immediately, one of Shinta Tianin's legs wrapped around his thighs. Her upper body also snuggled into his arms like a clingy kitten. What's in that bag? Only then did Shinta Tianin notice the cloth bag that Charlotte had placed on the bedside table. It was a black cloth bag, and he couldn't see what was inside. Charlotte picked it up and put on the quilt. Shinta Tianin reached out and touched it. It's hard. What is it? Charlotte smiled. It's hard. What do you think it is? Shinta Tianin thought for a while and suddenly pinched Charlotte in embarrassment. You're so bad. I'm talking about serious matters. What are you talking about? Charlotte said seriously. I'm also talking about serious matters, aren't I? You're doing this on purpose, aren't you? Shinta Tianin's cheeks were a bit flushed. A soft hand moved stealthily in the blankets, launching a sneak attack in a certain area. Are you hinting at it? That spot was attacked. Charlotte's body suddenly trembled. Every nerve in his body tensed up. The heat in his lower abdomen also turned into a flame, quietly burning. However, he still endured it. He turned the cloth bag upside down and poured out the things inside. It was a piece of jewelry. In an instant, all kinds of gems, agate, gold, silver, and jade scattered on the quilt, shining under the light. Wow! Although she was the richest woman in China, Shinta Tianin was shocked to see so many precious jewelry at once. Her eyes were shining as she looked at the precious jewelry. These jewelry were left over after Charlotte gave it away, but each piece was also a treasure and had a very high value. Charlotte said, "Didn't you say last time that I would give these jewelry to you for safekeeping? Now they are yours." Shinta Tianin couldn't help but laugh. I don't need to buy any jewelry in my life. She finally let go of the place where she had sneakily attacked and crawled out of the quilt. She excitedly picked out the jewelry and said, This is for Xiao Shui. This is for her too. This is for our daughter to wear when she gets married, and this is for our son to use when he finds a wife." Charlotte looked at her quietly. Seeing her excited and happy look, his heart was also calm and comfortable. "Hey, how do you wear these 2 golden flowers?" Shinta Tianin's soft hands were holding 2 dazzling golden flowers of exquisite workmanship. She had a curious expression on her face. The 2 golden flowers looked like 2 ancient lanterns, but there were 2 subcircular pits in the middle of the golden flowers, which seemed to be able to store something. Charlotte's eyes suddenly moved to Shinta Tianin's towering chest. Under the red bra, 2 protruding points were vaguely visible. This kind of vague temptation was the most seductive, and his lips were a little dry. Although Charlotte didn't say anything, Shinta Tianin found the answer from his eyes. This answer made her jade dimples blush again. She gently spat and said, "Dirty. I didn't expect the ancient people to be so playful. They could actually design such a thing." Charlotte laughed and said, "Huaxia was thousands of years ahead of the world. The ancient Huaxia civilization was not as backward as you think." Shinta Tianin suddenly threw the 2 golden flowers into Charlotte's hands and then stared at him. "What are you waiting for? Let me try it on." Charlotte was stunned for a moment, and then he couldn't wait to reach for the red bra buckle. Chapter 503. In the blink of an eye, 2 days had passed. China's weapons exhibition was not over yet, but Yi Kuan and Mu Jianfeng were no longer in the mood to care about the weapons exhibition. That exhibition had long been dominated by the Thunder Horse Arms factory. Now, the two state-owned bosses only cared about one thing. They had already heard the news that an investigation team was being set up and would appear in front of them at any time. In the Hanwoo Weapons Company headquarters building, there was a dull atmosphere in Yi Kuen's office. Both Yi Kuen and Mu Jianfeng looked worried. Only Yi Xiaoqi acted as if nothing had happened. She was looking at the makeup mirror and applying lipstick in the outer room. Today was the day that Kato Eagle would pick up the goods. She had to dress up nicely. In her eyes, Yi Kuen, her backer, had almost collapsed, so she had to hold on to Kato Haruk, her backer. The glory and wealth of the rest of her life were tied to Kato Eagle. How does she not dress up nicely? Your secretary. Have you dealt with her? Mu Jianfeng looked at Yi Xiaoqi in the outer room and was very unhappy. Yi Kuen said in a low voice, I have already given her 500,000 yuan. She won't talk nonsense. Humph. Mu Jianfeng snorted coldly. I want a definite answer, not an ambiguous one. Yi Kuen was silent for a moment and said, Xiaoqi, come in. What's the matter? Yi Xiaoqi no longer had the same reverence for Yi Kuen as before. She did not get up but continued to apply lipstick. This attitude made Yi Kuen angry. He slammed the table and said, I asked you to come in. Didn't you hear me? Yi Xiaoqi got up and walked in. She said slowly, Chairman Yi, what's the matter? Yi Kuen said, call Kato Yusuker immediately and test his reaction. Yi Xiaoqi did not move. Mu Jianfeng said coldly, Miss Yi, Ah Kuen has treated you well. He hasn't fallen yet. With your current attitude, do you think that your wings have hardened and you can challenge us? Yi Xiaoqi was not afraid of Yi Kuen, but she was afraid of Mu Jianfeng. Mu Jianfeng's eyes were cold. Miss Yi, let me tell you, even if Kuen falls, I am still here. If I want to destroy a woman like you, it is just a matter of a word. So, you better be smart and don't go overboard. Yi Xiaoqi felt guilty. She smiled apologetically and said, Chairman Mu, what are you talking about? When did I disrespect Chairman Yi? I'm just a small fry. What did I dare to go against big shots like you? Mu Jianfeng said, It's good that you understand. You are a smart woman. You should know what to say and what not to say, right? Yi Xiaoqi nodded. I know. Don't worry, I won't say a word. Mu Jianfeng said, Then what are you waiting for? Hurry up and call Kato Hasuk. Only then did Yi Xiaoqi take out her cell phone and call to Cao Kato. Yi Kuen cursed under his breath, B*TCH. After dozens of seconds, the smile on Yi Xiaoqi's face disappeared. The number she dialed was not in service, and it was impossible for the call to go through. Previously, the voice prompt indicated that the phone was turned off, but now it had become an empty number that no one was using. What's going on? Yi Kuen was getting impatient. Only then did Yi Xiaoqi come back to her senses. Chairman Yi, I can't get through. Mu Jianfeng said, Isn't your relationship with Kato Hasuk very close? Why can't you get through to him? The voice prompt indicated that the number is not in service. Yi Xiaoqi said, her heart full of disappointment. Just then, the phone on the desk rang. Yi Kuen pressed the hands-free button and said to the phone, What's the matter? A man's voice came from the phone. Chairman Yi, there are several Arabs outside the door, and who? And Charlotte from the Thunder Horse Military Factory. The voice on the phone said, Charlotte said he wants to see you. I don't know if you want to see him, Chairman Yi, so I called to ask you. Let him come up. Yi Kuen hung up the phone. Mu Jianfeng was stunned for a long time before he said, Arabs? Is it a customer who bought the Shenwu assault rifle from Hanwoo Weapons Company? But why is Charlotte with them? Yi Kuen looked worried. I don't know either. Damn it, that Charlotte actually dared to come here. He's just a small private enterprise owner. He's too arrogant. These words could only be said. The current Charlotte was no longer the Charlotte of the past. He had just received the highest honor given by the country, and there were many big shots fighting to support him. So, even if Charlotte walked around Hanwoo Weapons Company arrogantly, who could do anything to him? A few minutes later, under the lead of Hanwoo Weapons Company's security personnel, Charlotte appeared. Following Charlotte into the office were 3 Arab men wearing white robes and white headscarves. Among the 3 Arab men, there was only one of them, and the other two were obviously followers. Both of them carried briefcases and walked on the left and right side of the Arab man. In the Arab world, the concept of hierarchy was very important. Servants had no right to walk in front of their masters. The Arab man was very young, about 30 years old. He had a pair of light blue eyes, a thin and long face, and a thick beard. He gave off a masculine and handsome impression. As soon as they met, Charlotte introduced the Arab man. Chairman Yi, Chairman Mu, let me introduce you. This is Prince Muhammad Aziz, the Caliph from UAE. According to their customs, you can call him Prince Caliph or Mr. Caliph. Mu Jianfeng and Yi Kuan were a little stunned. Charlotte introduced the Caliph the moment he arrived. What was going on? Prince Caliph nodded slightly, then said in broken Chinese, "Nice to meet you." Yi Kuan was not in the mood to greet an Arab prince. He looked at Charlotte and said in an unfriendly tone, "Charlotte, what are you doing here? You're not so narcissistic that you think you're welcome here, are you?" Charlotte shrugged. "I'm here to help Prince Caliph handle a business deal with your company. So, I can't do anything if you don't welcome me. Let's not talk nonsense. Let's get down to business. You and I know about that order. How are you going to deal with it?" Mu Jianfeng, Yi Kuan, and Yi Xiaoqi looked at each other. The three of them knew very well that the order was signed with the Japanese arms dealer, Kato Itsuki. But how did Charlotte get involved? At this time, one of Prince Caliph's attendants said, "Let me introduce myself first. My name is Ali Khan. I'm the assistant of His Royal Highness. His Royal Highness's Chinese is not good enough to talk to you normally. His Royal Highness has given Mr. Charlotte full authority to handle this matter. He will negotiate with you on behalf of His Royal Highness." What's going on? Yi Kuan looked serious. Where's that Japanese? Kato Itsuki, you know who I'm talking about. Ali Khan said, Kato Itsuki? Haha, that unlucky guy was kidnapped by a group of terrorists when he returned to the United Arab Emirates last time. Then we received a request for a reward, but we will not compromise with terrorists, especially for a Japanese. He is just an employee of our Royal Highness. How can you treat him like this? Yi Xiaoqi suddenly became agitated and lost control of her emotions. You should save him. Save him immediately. Ali Khan said lightly, "Miss, I'm sorry. We have our principles. It's been so many days. It's too late to say anything now. That group of terrorists only gave a time limit of 48 hours. Now that several days have passed, he is probably no longer in this world." Wah! Yi Xiaoqi wailed and cried in despair. Her last backer had also collapsed. The glory and wealth for the rest of her life were gone. This was indeed a very sad thing, especially for a woman like her. "Stop crying," Yi Kuan said angrily. "It's not your father who died. Why are you sad?" Yi Xiaoqi couldn't speak, but she stopped crying. "Wait." Mu Jianfeng stared at Charlotte. "Even if Kato Eagle is dead, it's not your turn to interfere in this matter, Charlotte, right?" Charlotte said, "Chairman Mu, you heard it clearly just now. Prince Caliph has given me full authority to handle this matter. Why can't I interfere? How did this Prince Caliph find you?" Mu Jianfeng's eyes moved to Prince Caliph. He was already doubting the authenticity of this prince. Charlotte smiled. "Chairman Mu, I know what you're thinking. I'm telling you, this Prince Caliph is real. You could go to the United Arab Emirates to investigate. Kato Isuk is just a senior employee of his arms company. Kato Isuk signed a contract with you. He also represents Prince Caliph's arms company. You all know the name of that company, Desert Guardian. Therefore, although Kato Hasuk is dead, the contract signed between companies will not die, and it still has legal effect. Now, the purpose of our coming here is to talk to you about how to deal with the aftermath of this business." Mu Jianfeng and Yi Kuan couldn't help but look at each other. Just before Charlotte came here, they were still discussing how to deceive Kato Eagle and deliver the inferior Shinwu assault rifle to a rich company in the Middle East. They didn't expect that Charlotte would be involved, which meant that all the plans they had discussed before were useless. Charlotte said again, "Well, I'll tell you the truth, lest you take a chance. Desert Guardian has taken the initiative to find our Thunder Horse Army factory and wants to buy our XL 2500 sniper rifle and Gale assault rifle. Who doesn't like Middle Eastern customers? They're in a bit of trouble now, and I'm happy to help them solve this problem. It's also good for me, isn't it? Yi Kuan said bitterly. The guns are already in the warehouse, ready to pick up at any time. Are you ready the money? According to the contract, you need to pay 50% of the price. The next time you pick up the goods, you'll pay the full price. Xia Lei chuckled. Mr. Ali Khan, please translate for your prince. Director Yi wants you to withdraw those terrible, low-quality rifles, and he even wants to pay 50% of the sales price. Are you willing to do that? Ali Khan then translated Yi Kuan's words to Prince Caliph. International Court. Prince Caliph only said 4 Chinese characters, and this time the words were very clear. Yi Kuan and Mu Jianfeng's faces suddenly became very ugly. Chapter 504. 1 month ago, Abu Dhabi International Airport, United Arab Emirates. An Asian young man walked out of the arrival hall. The young man was wearing a black suit and a pair of black sunglasses. He was tall, handsome, and cool. The Asian young man walked out of the airport, got into a Lamborghini taxi, and told the destination in Arabic. The rich taxi took him straight to the Abu Dhabi Palace Hotel. The taxi stopped at the entrance of the Abu Dhabi Palace Hotel, and the Asian young man got out. When he entered the gate, the hotel's security staff stopped him. He spoke a few words with them in Arabic. A hotel security staff then entered the guard room and made a phone call before letting him go. Although the Abu Dhabi Palace Hotel was not as famous as the Dubai Hotel, it was an 8-star hotel, which was 1 level higher than the Dubai Hotel. Not everyone could enter this hotel to spend money. It only received guests of high status, and the Prince Caliph was one of them. The reason why the Asian young man could get a pass was that he had an appointment with the Prince Caliph. The Asian young man entered the hotel lobby. A Middle Eastern man in a white robe and a white headscarf had been waiting there for a long time. As soon as he saw the Asian young man enter, he greeted him. "Are you Mr. Xia from China?" The Asian young man nodded. The Middle Eastern man carefully observed the Asian young man's face and said doubtfully, "You're not Charlotte. Our company's staff has been to the Laymam military factory and took a photo with Mr. Charlotte. You're not him. Who are you? Who are you?" The Asian young man looked up at the surveillance camera in the corner of the lobby and said in Arabic, "This is not a place to talk. Can we talk in private?" The Middle Eastern man hesitated for a moment and nodded. "Come with me." The Asian young man followed the Middle Eastern man through the lobby into the stairwell and stopped at the corner of the stairs. He reached out and rubbed his face a few times. Then, he carefully took off a human skin mask and revealed his true face. This Asian young man was Charlotte. "This Mr. Xiaoyu." The man from the Middle East looked at Xia Lei, who had changed his face in surprise and was speechless. Charlotte said, "Please forgive me. There are too many people who want my life, so I have to be careful. When can I see the Prince Caliph? Please forgive me. I need to touch your cheek before I can answer your question," the middle-aged man said. Charlotte shrugged and nodded. The man from the Middle East reached out to touch Charlotte's cheek and pinched it twice. After confirming that Charlotte's face was real, he said, "Come with me. His Royal Highness is waiting for you in his room. Oh, by the way, my name is Ali Khan, the director of Desert Guardian Company. It's a pleasure to work with you." Charlotte shook hands with him and followed Ali Khan to the 2nd floor. "That's because you haven't seen our Thunder Horse Military Factory's Gale assault rifle." Charlotte took out an Apple tablet from his briefcase, woke up the screen, and then handed it to Prince Caliph. The Apple tablet was playing a video introducing the Gale assault rifle. The video not only showed a sample of the Gale assault rifle, but also a detailed introduction and the final shooting video of the Gale assault rifle. The video was only a few minutes long, but Prince Khalifa and Ali Khan were stunned for a full minute after watching it before they came back to their senses. "Mr. Xia, is this true?" Prince Caliph was surprised. "The effective range is 1,000 meters and the recoil is almost 0. Charlotte smiled. "You have received the XL 2500 sniper rifle. I believe you also believe in the strength of our Thunder Horse military factory. I can confidently tell you that this assault rifle is being produced at a very fast pace. I can guarantee with my head that everything described in this video is true. I couldn't bring a gun to UAE this time. Otherwise, I would have shown you its performance. Prince Caliph and Ali Khan couldn't help but look at each other. Both of them could not hide the excitement and desire in their eyes. Mr. Xia, if your Gale assault rifle has such excellent performance, it is undoubtedly the most advanced assault rifle in the world today, far better than the assault rifles in Europe and the United States. You don't have to worry about sales at all. Why did you come to UAE to find me and want to cooperate with me? I don't understand. Please tell me the reason. Prince Caliph looked straight at Charlotte, as if he wanted to find the answer from Charlotte's eyes. Charlotte was silent for a moment before saying, Prince Caliph, I want to be friends with you. At the same time, I hope you can do me a favor. What do you want me to do for you? In the name of your Desert Guardian Company, go to China's Hanwoo Arms Company and place an order for a rifle worth 200 million US dollars. Prince Caliph was surprised. Why? I want to buy your gun, but you want me to go to another company to place an order, and it's 200 million US dollars. Mr. Xia, I respect you, but don't joke with me. Charlotte said, this order will be placed by me. I'm a senior employee of your company under the name of Kato Kawasuki. You have to put it on record for me and prepare files to deal with the investigation. I'll handle the deposit for the order. You just need to come to China and show your face when you receive my notice. Prince Caliph still didn't understand what Charlotte meant, and he was already a bit angry. Ali Khan also said unhappily, Mr. Xia, His Royal Highness is already giving you face by meeting you, but you actually made such a joke with us. Don't you think you're very rude? If you do this again, I'll ask you to leave. Charlotte lightly said, Your Royal Highness, I don't mean to disrespect you. I'm not begging you. I'm just making friends with you. Prince Caliph said coldly, How can you make friends like this? Charlotte said, The benefit I can bring you as a friend is to make your army stronger and become invincible in the Middle East. All you need to do is nod your head and help me with this matter. Why? Well, I'll tell you the reason. I want to destroy my competitor, Hanwoo Weapons Company, Charlotte said. Prince Caliph and Ali Khan looked at each other again. Then Prince Caliph smiled. I see. No problem, my friend. I'll meet all your conditions. Charlotte also smiled. Thank you, my friend. The three of them talked in the room. More than a month later now, Prince Caliph looked very angry. There are serious quality problems with your guns, and they're suspected of infringement. You can't even solve this problem, and you want me to pick up the goods and pay for the goods? Do you think I'm stupid? I want to see our ambassador and lodge a diplomatic protest, and then we'll go to the International Court of Justice to fight. Ali Khan then translated Prince Caliph's words. After this translation, Mu Jianfeng and Yi Kuan's faces turned green. What Prince Caliph said, whether it was a diplomatic protest or going to the International Court of Justice, was enough to make the two of them suffer. Not for anything else, but because they were thieves themselves. They stole the blueprints of the Thunder Horse military factory to produce imitation rifles. How could such a shameful thing be raised to the level of a diplomatic confrontation between the two countries? As for going to the International Court of Justice, they would lose the case without even fighting. Chapter 505. There is an old saying, when it rains, it pours. This sentence also became the true portrayal of Mu Jianfeng and Yi Kuan at the moment. Before the investigation team could come down to investigate, a prince from the Middle East actually came to their door. Not only that, this prince from the Middle East actually brought his archenemy, Charlotte. If there was a magic in this world that could make Charlotte suddenly disappear from this world, then Yi Kuan and Mu Jianfeng would be willing to pay any price in exchange for this magic. However, there was no such magic in this world. Therefore, Charlotte could appear in front of them unscrupulously, and they could do nothing about it. Tell me, how do you plan to solve it? Charlotte broke the silence. He did not want to give Mu Jianfeng and Yi Kuan too much time to think. Yi Kuan bit the bullet and said, How do you want to solve it? Charlotte said, Of course, according to the contract you signed. Now you can't deliver the goods because you breached the contract, so you have to pay double the price of the liquidated damages, which is 400 million US dollars. That's impossible. Yi Kuan panicked. Charlotte, don't forget, you're China. You should be on our side. Now you're helping the Middle Easterners ask for money. You're selling your country for glory. Charlotte could not help but laugh. Yi Kuan, don't flatter me like this. I don't buy it. I know very well whether I'm selling my country for glory or not. I'm worthy of this country, and I'm worthy of my own conscience. But you, Yi Kuan, you're corrupt, you've taken bribes, you've filled your own pockets, and you've done a lot of bad things, but you're still in this position, acting like a tyrant. You say I'm selling my country for glory. I think you're a traitor. You, Yi Kuan could not refute. He was so angry that he could not speak. All right, stop arguing. Mu Jianfeng tried to smooth things over. Charlotte, this has nothing to do with you. Leave. We know how to talk to Prince Khalifa. Prince Khalifa gave me the right to negotiate with you. I'm the representative of Prince Khalifa. Do you have the right to ask me to leave? Charlotte said, don't give me that crap. Mu Jianfeng's attitude was very tough, and he was also very angry. Let me tell you, this is China, not the UAE. He can't do whatever he wants. Even if he wants to negotiate, he has to follow our rules. Yes. Yi Kuan sneered. Charlotte, don't be so full of yourself. We don't welcome you here, get out. Otherwise, I'll ask the security guards to kick you out. All right, you guys have quite a temper. I'm leaving. Charlotte really turned around and left. Prince Khalifa glanced at Charlotte and turned to leave. Ali Khan pointed at Yi Kuan. This is the choice you made. Just wait for our diplomatic protest and the International Court of Justice. After that, Ali Khan turned around and left. Yi Kuan suddenly panicked. I only asked Charlotte to leave. I didn't say I wouldn't talk to you. Why are you leaving? Ali Khan said, Our Royal Highness's intentions are very clear. He has given Mr. Charlotte full authority to deal with this matter. Mr. Charlotte represents Prince Khalifa. You guys treating Mr. Xia like this is simply an insult to our Royal Highness. Goodbye. Wait. Yi Kuan was extremely unwilling, but he still said, Charlotte, you stay. Xiaolei stopped in his tracks and turned around to look at Yi Kuan with a disdainful smile. Yi Kuan, I'll leave just because you want me to leave. I'll stay just because you want me to stay. Who do you think you are? Yi Kuan was instantly furious. Mu Jianfeng said coldly, Charlotte, enough. Don't you want to stay and watch us make a fool of ourselves? Letting you stay is already giving you enough face. What else do you want? From his tone, it was as if letting Charlotte stay was already a gift. Charlotte was so angry that he laughed. Do you know what I hate the most about you guys? You're obviously at the end of your rope, but you still want to put on a high and mighty attitude. People like you are used to being domineering and think that everything should be done according to your wishes. Today, I really have to let you guys understand that not everyone has to follow your wishes. I can stay, but apologize to me. You. Mu Jianfeng was also so angry that he could not speak. Charlotte, don't push your luck. Yi Kuan said angrily. Charlotte shrugged and turned to leave. Prince Khalifa and his two followers also left. In the blink of an eye, the four of them were at the door of the office. Yi Kuan and Mu Jianfeng could not help but look at each other, but both of their hearts were in a mess. No one had any ideas. But there was one thing that both of them were very clear about, and that was that this matter must not be internationalized. This matter was simply a scandal. If Prince Khalifa raised this matter to the level of a diplomatic protest, then the two of them would be finished before the investigation team came down. Just as Charlotte was about to walk out the door, Yi Kuan finally compromised. He bit the bullet and said, I'm sorry. Leave Charlotte and negotiate with him. This matter could be solved with money. When the investigation team came down, at most they would only investigate the matter of Hanwoo Weapons Company stealing the blueprints of the Thunder Horse military factory, as well as some problems with their work style and lifestyle. These problems could still be remedied, but if they made a big deal out of it, there would be no room for redemption at all. Charlotte turned around and said calmly, There is one more person who has not apologized. Mu Jianfeng was so angry that his lips were trembling. Who was he? The chairman of Shenzhou Industrial Group, the boss of a small private enterprise, actually wanted him to apologize. He could not let go of this face. Yi Kun stared at Mu Jianfeng. Although he did not say anything, his heart was already beginning to be dissatisfied. In order to prevent the situation from developing in a worse direction, he had already put down his pride and apologized to Charlotte. Why couldn't Mu Jianfeng do the same? All right, Chairman Mu, you must have never been humble to anyone in your life, right? All right, I won't force you, lest your official life is not perfect. I think I'd better leave. Charlotte was about to leave again. I'm sorry. Mu Jianfeng finally said it. At this moment, his heart was filled with hatred, but his face showed a smile. Isn't it just an apology? What's wrong with that? As long as it can appease your anger, let alone one apology, even if you have to apologize 100 times, I'm willing to do so. You see, Akuin and I have already apologized to you. Let's let bygones be bygones. Let's sit down and talk. I believe anything can be talked about. All right, then let's talk. Charlotte returned to Yi Kuen's office. Yi Kuen looked at Yi Xiaoqi, who was standing at the side and could not get a word in. What are you still standing there for? Hurry up and make tea for Chairman Xia and the few Middle Eastern VIPs. Oh, only then did Yi Xiaoqi look away from Charlotte and went to make tea. This scene was seen by Mu Jianfeng. He frowned slightly and looked like he was deep in thought. The few of them sat down. When Yi Xiaoqi came to make tea, he seemed to have understood something and made a decision. Charlotte, since Prince Caliph has given you full authority to negotiate, let's make it simple. We will negotiate with you. What do you think? Teacher, this. Yi Kun obviously did not understand Mu Jianfeng's intentions. Mu Jianfeng looked at Yi Kun, but did not give any explanation. Charlotte nodded. No problem. How do you want to talk? Mu Jianfeng got up and said, Let's go. Let's talk in a lounge. Then he said, Xiaoqi, please greet the few Middle Eastern VIPs. Prince Caliph and his entourage did not object. Yi Xiaoqi was also happy to serve the few Middle Eastern VIPs. Charlotte followed Mu Jianfeng and Yi Kun into the lounge. Mu Jianfeng closed the door and went straight to the point. Charlotte, we are straightforward people and don't beat around the bush. Did you arrange Kato Eagle? Charlotte was stunned for a moment and then said, Chairman Mu, what do you mean? Why can't I understand what you're saying? Mu Jianfeng snorted coldly. Don't pretend. I just remembered. Why do you have a video of Kun and Yi Xiaoqi in bed? And it's in this lounge. Yi Kun seemed to be enlightened. He stared at Charlotte. So it's you. This is all a trap you set. You are so cruel. Charlotte said lightly. What you say is true. There should be evidence for this. Where is the camera? Where is it? Let me see. There should be fingerprints of Kato Eagle on it, right? The truth was that Qin Xiang had snuck into the headquarters of Hanwu Weapons Company one night and stole all the things that Xia Lei had placed there under the identity of Kato Hasuk. However, Charlotte would definitely not tell Mu Jianfeng and Yi Kun about this. Therefore, no matter what speculation they had, Mu Jianfeng and Yi Kun could not produce any evidence to prove it. Wait, Yi Kun seemed to remember something. When I first met that Kato Eagle, I had a feeling that I had seen him before. His figure was similar to yours. Charlotte, you are that Kato Eagle. Whether it was Mu Jianfeng or Yi Kun, they were not simple people. Both of them were smart and cunning. Charlotte was not surprised that they could guess this level based on some clues. If they were not smart and cunning, Mu Jianfeng and Yi Kun would not be where they were today. However, Charlotte did not care at all. It was because Mu Jianfeng and Yi Kun could not produce any evidence. On the contrary, the contract signed by Hanwu Weapons Company and Desert Guardian Company was written in black and white. There was not the slightest bit of falsehood. Charlotte, I, Mu Jianfeng, have never been cheated like this in my life. You are the first. You win. Mu Jianfeng's heart was filled with hatred, but he did not show it on his face. No one could tell that he was angry. Charlotte smiled. All right, I'll take it that I cheated you guys. How many times have you cheated me? Can't you take it that I cheated you once? If you knew this would happen, why did you do it in the first place? Let's not talk about these boring topics. Let's get down to business. My condition is simple. $400 million for breach of contract. Give it to my client, and we will call it a day. If you don't, you know what the prince outside will do. I only took $5 million as a deposit. You actually want $400 million for breach of contract. Isn't this too much? No way. I'm only willing to pay $20 million. Yi Kuan looked determined. Charlotte smiled. Take your time then. I'll take my leave. Mu Jianfeng grabbed Charlotte's hand. $400 million is definitely not enough. If things get out of hand, no one will benefit. You have to know that although you are representing a company from UAE, you're helping UAE companies to steal money from state-owned enterprises. When that time comes, Kuan and I will step down, but you will not be able to escape responsibility. If you take a step back, we will also take a step back. It will benefit everyone. Cheating the country's money was indeed a hidden danger that was digging one's own grave. Chapter 506. It had to be said that Mu Jianfeng had always been a difficult person to deal with. Even when he was at the end of his rope, he could still find a chance to fight back and turn the tide. Just based on this, Yi Kuan would never be able to catch up to Mu Jianfeng. Let's not talk about whether Charlotte had set up a trap for Mu Jianfeng and Yi Kuan. Just take the matter at hand, for example. Helping a Middle Eastern company to ask for $400 million in compensation was enough to make him lose trust in the eyes of the higher-ups. Charlotte was silent, as if he had been poked at a sore spot. Yi Kuan sneered. Charlotte, are you feeling guilty? You want $400 million. Even if we give it to you, can you take it with a clear conscience? If you don't have such a big appetite, don't open your mouth so wide. Charlotte continued to be silent. Mu Jianfeng said, don't ask for $400 and $200 million, just $50 million. That's also a huge sum. I believe you have the ability to convince your prince friend, don't you? These words seemed to be implying something else. Charlotte looked up at Mu Jianfeng and Yi Kuan, then smiled. $50 million? You guys really dare to ask. Even if I agree, Prince Caliph won't agree. In his eyes, what is $50 million? Let me remind you again, this money is not mine. It's Desert Guardian Company's. I won't participate in the deal between you guys. I'm just helping my client. Don't pretend. Tell me, how much do you want? Yi Kuan had lost his patience. Charlotte said lightly, although we are opponents, and you two have caused me a lot of trouble, I will still give you a clear path for the sake of my fellow countrymen. Mu Jianfeng and Yi Kuan could not help but look at each other. Their eyes were filled with confusion. Would Charlotte be so kind? They did not believe it. You don't believe it? That's okay, I'll tell you. Charlotte continued. Prince Caliph doesn't lack money, nor does he lack guns. The situation in the Middle East is chaotic. Prince Caliph wants to build his army into the strongest army in the Middle East. Our company's Gale assault rifle can achieve this, and it is also a weapon he desires. Mu Jianfeng said coldly, what does this have to do with us? Charlotte said, it doesn't seem to matter, but it's not impossible if you want to. What do you mean? Yi Kuan asked. Charlotte said, didn't you guys manufacture a lot of parts for the Shinwu assault rifle? Sell it to me at a low price to offset part of the penalty fee. In addition, your two companies will continue to process the parts we need for the Thunder Horse Army factory to offset the rest. I can give you an objective price for the newly processed parts. In that case, you will be able to offset all the liquidated damages very soon. Mu Jianfeng and Yi Kuan were stunned on the spot. This was Charlotte's overall plan, and the solution he just proposed was also the end of his entire plan. Without a doubt, this was a very big game of chess. This plan was interlinked and ingenious. Scamming money out of a state-owned military enterprise? Charlotte would not be stupid enough to do this, because even if he did it flawlessly, there would inevitably be a day when things would be settled. Acquiring the parts of the Shinwu assault rifle that had been processed by Hanwoo Weapons Company and Shinjo Industry Group would not only solve the problem of the low production capacity of the Thunder Horse Army factory, but also make people feel that the Thunder Horse Army factory was benevolent and righteous. After all, the Shinwu assault rifle could no longer be produced. Those parts were equivalent to being scrapped. Moreover, in the future, Shenzhou Industry Group and Hanwoo Weapons Company would purchase the gun parts processed by the Thunder Horse Army factory at a high price. Who could say anything about Charlotte? Through such cooperation, the Thunder Horse Army factory would turn the Shenzhou Industry Group and Hanwoo Weapons Company into its logistics base. And these two large military enterprises would also inject a strong impetus for the Thunder Horse Army factory to take off. Okay, Charlotte, I really misjudged you. Mu Jianfeng smiled bitterly. In the blink of an eye, he seemed to have aged a lot. Akuin and I have always wanted to squeeze you out of the military market, but you can still continue to grow under the siege of our two companies. Not only that, but now you actually want to turn our two companies into your logistics base to provide impetus for the expansion of your Thunder Horse Army factory. You played a good game of chess. In this way, not only will no one say that you cheated the state-owned enterprises of their money, but they will also say that you take care of the state-owned enterprise's business and win glory for the country. Not only do you have the ability, but you also have a patriotic heart. If you take all the benefits, what can we get? Charlotte said, the benefit you can get is to solve the contract dispute between your two companies and Desert Guardian Company. What else do you want besides this? Add one more. Mu Jianfeng said, the Thunder Horse Army factory will not sue Hanwoo Weapons Company for infringement. Yi Kuin's eyes suddenly lit up, as if he saw a glimmer of hope to escape. He said excitedly, yes, we have to add this. We can't let you take all the benefits and leave us with nothing. This, Charlotte pretended to be hesitant, but he actually had his own plans in his heart. Mu Jianfeng said, Charlotte, you have to leave a way out. We can give you $400 million, but I believe that your vision is not limited to $400 million. The military's big order is already with your Thunder Horse Army factory, but with your ambition, you will not let go of the international market. In this way, you will need a large number of high-quality parts to produce, but it will take you several years to increase the production capacity of your Thunder Horse Army factory. Time is money. Will you miss the once-in-a-lifetime development opportunity of the Thunder Horse Army factory? Just before today, Mu Jianfeng and Yi Kuin racked their brains to think of ways to destroy the Thunder Horse military factory. But at this moment, they stood in Xia Lei's position and looked forward to the future of the Thunder Horse military factory, and even gave suggestions. Life was really like a play. Yi Kuin said, you're asking us to do things for you now, but you still want to kill us? Well, I'll assume that the Thunder Horse Army factory will sue us, and will be forced to step down by you. Will the new leader agree to cooperate with you and produce parts for your Thunder Horse Army factory? You're delusional. The new leader will be the same as us, driving you out of this market. It's not impossible to talk about. Mr. Ling asked me for the relevant evidence, but I haven't had the time to give it to him. Charlotte said slowly. Yi Kuin and Mu Jianfeng couldn't help but look at each other again. There was already a trace of joy and relief in their eyes. In their current situation, what they wanted the most was to get rid of the upcoming investigation and keep their current positions. Only Charlotte could give them what they wanted. Now, Charlotte seemed to have given a hint. Say it, Charlotte. We don't need to beat around the bush. Just say what other conditions you have. Mu Jianfeng said, you have what we want. We have what you want. The deal between us is good for both sides. Since it's a win-win deal, you should show your sincerity. Charlotte sighed. Well, I cannot sue you, and I won't hand over the evidence to the investigation team. However, we have to sign a new contract clearly stipulating the price, quality, and regular delivery of the parts. I have to hold back when working with people like you, because I don't trust you. Mu Jianfeng and Yi Kuin got together and whispered a few words. Then Mu Jianfeng said, deal, but you have to give us the evidence. Okay, no problem. Sign, and I'll give you the evidence. Charlotte agreed very quickly this time. Video evidence could be copied. Paper documents could be copied. Mu Jianfeng and Yi Kuin could have as many copies as they wanted, and he would always keep a copy as a handle in his hand. Then let's start talking about the details of the contract. Mu Jianfeng said, no need. I've already prepared it for the two of you. Charlotte opened his briefcase and took out 6 paper contracts, a thick stack. Looking at the stack of paper contracts in front of him, Mu Jianfeng was stunned for a long time before he said, you already knew that we would work with you? You've prepared everything, Charlotte said calmly. Chairman Mu, you're a very smart person. Do you think you have any other choice besides working with me? Look at the contract. If there's no problem, let's sign it. Mu Jianfeng and Yi Kuan picked up a contract and looked at it. 2 hours later, the three of them signed the contract. Charlotte put the 4 contracts belonging to the Thunder Horse Army factory into his briefcase, then put a USB on the table. Take it. This is the evidence you want. Yi Kuan quickly grabbed the USB in his hand, afraid that Charlotte would return and take it back. At the same time, he probed, Charlotte, you didn't copy it, did you? Charlotte smiled. Am I that kind of boring person? Now, I only care about the quality of the parts you produce and the delivery time. There's only one chance. As for whether you cherish it or not, that's your own business. After that, Charlotte left the lounge with his briefcase. At this point, his plan was completely over. This result was also the result he wanted a month ago. Compared to letting Mu Jianfeng and Yi Kuan step down, this result was actually the most beneficial result, because letting Mu Jianfeng and Yi Kuan step down would only give them a moment of pleasure. After that moment of pleasure, there would be nothing else. And turning Mu Jianfeng and Yi Kuan into his people, letting Hanwoo Weapons Company and Shinjo Industry Group produce parts for the Thunder Horse Army factory, adding a strong impetus to the rapid development of the Thunder Horse Army factory, was the smart choice. Damn it! After Charlotte left, Mu Jianfeng slapped the table. 2 years ago, when I saw him, he was just a street vendor. Now, he actually wants me to work for him. I can't swallow this. Yi Kuan also said bitterly, but what else can we do besides cooperating with him? Mu Jianfeng was silent. Yes, their weakness was in the hands of others. What else could they do besides cooperating with Charlotte? At this time, Yi Xiaoqi appeared at the door of the lounge and said cautiously, Chairman Yi, Chairman Mu, Charlotte, and the 3 Middle Easterners have left. Yi Kuan glanced at Yi Xiaoqi and said coldly, Yi Xiaoqi, go to the production department tomorrow to repay them. I heard that they lack a person to sweep the floor and pour water. Tomorrow, a new person will take over your job. Chapter 507. Hanwoo Weapons Company and Shinjo Industry Group had become the logistics base of Rema Group. No one could have imagined such a thing. However, not many people knew about such a thing because the contract signed by the 3 companies was signed in secret. The day after Charlotte signed a contract with Yi Kuan and Wooden Sword Peak, a large number of parts were shipped from Hanwoo Weapons Company. With these parts, Leimam Military Factory only needed to test the quality of these parts, and then they could be assembled. With the strength of Hanwoo Weapons Company and Shinjo Industry Group, the parts they made were actually very good. The failure of the Shinwoo assault rifle was actually only because of the lack of the shock absorber designed by Charlotte. Therefore, Charlotte was not worried at all that there would be quality problems with the parts from Shinjo Industry Group and Hanwoo Weapons Company. If there was, he only needed to refuse it, and it would have little effect on him. With the 2 super logistics bases of Shinjo Industry Group and Hanwoo Weapons Company, the speed of Leimam Military Factory's production of Gale assault rifles was faster and more stable. It was foreseeable that a large number of military orders would be completed quickly, and international orders would also be met. However, Charlotte was not satisfied. He did not believe that his cooperation with Hanwoo Weapons Company and Shinjo Industry Group would last long. He had earned $400 million worth of spare parts from Hanwoo Weapons Company and Shinjo Industry Group, which would bring him double the profit after turning them into the Gale assault rifle. These profits would be used to increase the production capacity of the Thunder Horse Army factory. New workshops, new production lines, and new employees would be born after that. The Gale assault rifle and this commercial espionage incident would also be a turning point for Leimam Military Factory. After that, Leimam Military Factory would be able to gain a foothold in China's military industry and have its own world. It would not take long for it to grow stronger and soar. Before that, Charlotte had a very important thing to deal with, which was the upcoming trip to Japan. We're leaving the day after tomorrow. Have you prepared everything? In a running warrior jeep, Long Bing, with a cold expression, broke the silence in the car. Charlotte said, "I've prepared everything. There's no problem. What about you?" Long Bing said, "I used the human skin mask you gave me to make a fake ID. My name is Takao Meixiang. I'm 25 years old. I'm from Hokkaido. I'm your childhood sweetheart. Am I right, Mr. Kato?" Charlotte smiled. "You don't have to repeat it to me. Just memorize it yourself." Before using a fake identity to carry out a mission, an agent would memorize all the information of the fake identity and be on guard against the possibility of their identity being exposed. This was a basic skill. With Long Bing's status, how could she be careless? By the way, don't tell Shinda Tianyin about our mission and our relationship in the mission. Long Bing said coldly, "She's a very jealous woman. I don't want to be seen as a woman who poaches her man." Charlotte smiled bitterly. "In your eyes, I'm such a henpecked person." Long Bing glanced at Charlotte. "Isn't that the case?" Charlotte, he was actually not the kind of man who was afraid of his wife. He just loved Shinda Tianyin and didn't want to make her unhappy. He didn't want to make her angry and sad. As a man, he should be more open-minded and give in when he could. If he always argued with Shinda Tianyin and acted like a man, what was the point of living like that? By the way, the XL 2500 sniper rifle and Gale assault rifle that we want to use have already been shipped to Japan through underground channels. After we get there, someone will send them to us. Long Bing remembered this and mentioned it. Charlotte sighed. "It's best not to use guns in this operation in Japan. That place is not Jerusalem, nor is it Afghanistan. Except for the CIB and Secret Service people, it's still safe for us to go there with fake identities. Did you forget about Gu Qin?" Charlotte's thoughts were suddenly pulled back. When he heard the name Gu Qin, his brows suddenly furrowed. In this trip to Japan, the biggest hidden danger and unsafe factor was Gu Qin. Long Bing said faintly, "I don't have a good impression of Japan. If there's a battle, I won't be merciful. If I can kill two, I will never let go of one. I'll deal with the Secret Service and the CIB. As for the Gu Qin and Gu Kuwu siblings, I'll leave them to you." Long Bing was Long Bing, the frost-killing goddess of 101 innings. These words were cold to the bone. Charlotte didn't say anything and just nodded. He understood Long Bing. Japan's harm to China was innumerable, and it was a complete history of blood and tears. The crimes committed by Japan back then were remembered by every courageous Chinese, and Long Bing was one of them. If there was a battle, she would definitely not be lenient. In fact, if it were him, he would make the same choice. An hour later, the warrior SUV arrived in front of a prison. Long Bing showed her ID and relevant documents, and the prison guard let them go. Then another prison guard took Long Bing and Charlotte to the door of a cell. If ordinary prisoners wanted to see someone, they could only go to the reception room and do so under the supervision of the prison guard. However, with Long Bing and Charlotte's identities, they didn't need to do this. The two came here directly to see Gu Kuwu, and the prison guard had no right to monitor them. The prison guard opened the cell door and left. Charlotte pushed open the cell door and saw Gu Kuwu standing in the cell. The sound of the door opening had alarmed him, and he was also looking in the direction of the cell door. When Charlotte saw him, he also saw Charlotte at a glance. "You?" Gu Kuwu showed a surprised expression. "Charlotte, why are you here?" Charlotte grinned. "Child Gu, long time no see. You've gained weight and become whiter than before." Gu Kuwu's face suddenly became ugly. He could tell that this was a sarcastic remark. If it was in the past, when he was in the limelight, he would definitely retort and even instruct his bodyguards to beat up Charlotte. But today was different. Such a long period of time in prison had polished his spirit, and he didn't dare to challenge Charlotte. What's more, there was no point in doing so other than humiliating himself. At this time, Long Bing poked her head out of the cell door. She said to Charlotte, "You talk to him, I'll watch from outside." Charlotte nodded, his gaze not leaving Gu Kuwu. Gu Kuwu also saw Long Bing. He was a little afraid and subconsciously took 2 steps back. What do you want?" Charlotte said. "What? After being in prison for a while, you become timid." Gu Kuwu bit his lips, and a hint of hatred appeared in his eyes. But that was all his reaction. Charlotte said, "Sit down, you sit down, I'll stand, let's talk." Gu Kuwu didn't sit down. He smiled bitterly. Tell me, what are you doing here? Are you here to see me make a fool of myself? Your goal has been achieved. You can go now. Tell me, if you were as sensible as you are now, would you be in this situation today? Enough. Gu Qian finally couldn't take it anymore. He said angrily, Charlotte, what are you trying to do? Are you going to hit me? I'm right here. Come on, hit me. Kill me. For some reason, Charlotte suddenly felt that the current Gu Kawu was very pitiful, but not worthy of sympathy. After a sigh, Charlotte suddenly shouted, Sit down. Gu Kawu reflexively sat on the bed and looked at Charlotte in bewilderment. He tried very hard to guess the purpose of Charlotte's visit, but he couldn't guess the right direction at all. I'll tell you, Charlotte said. You're going to be free. What? Gu Kawu couldn't believe what he heard. Charlotte said, This is all thanks to your good sister, Gu Qian. You may not know, but she is now a member of the CIB. As he spoke, he observed the changes in Gu Kawu's expression. Gu Kawu avoided Charlotte's gaze. Charlotte's heart skipped a beat, and he secretly said, It seems that Gu Kawu knows about her sister's treason and becoming a CIB agent. With Gu Qian's means, it's not difficult for her to tell Gu Kawu about this. Although the Gu family has fallen, there must be die-hard loyalty. I don't believe what you said. My sister is just an ordinary girl. How could she become a CIB agent? Charlotte, if you're here to inquire about my sister, then you've come to the wrong place. I don't know anything, Gu Kawu said. Although Gu Kawu said so, Charlotte had already made a judgment in his heart. He said, It doesn't matter whether you know or not. I'm here to tell you that you'll go to Japan with me in the morning the day after tomorrow, and then I'll give it to your sister in Japan. This? Gu Kawu looked very surprised. Charlotte sneered, Don't pretend. You actually know everything. Don't worry. I'm not here to investigate who contacted you secretly. That's boring. Gu Kawu put away his surprised look and looked coldly at Charlotte. Well, I'll go to Japan with you. Charlotte walked to Gu Kawu and reached out to grab Gu Kawu's shoulder. His voice was cold. Gu Kawu, I'm warning you first. Don't play any tricks on the way. If you want to run away, what awaits you is death. If you say something that reveals our identity, what awaits you is also death. Do you remember? Gu Kawu was silent. Do you remember? Charlotte's hand suddenly tightened. Gu Qian's collarbone was pinched by Charlotte and lifted up. He suddenly screamed in pain. Do you remember? Charlotte shouted. Remember, remember. Gu Kawu begged for mercy. Let go, let go. Charlotte, let go this time. It's good that you remember. I'll tell you one more thing. That is, because of your sister's identity, I have the authority to kill you at any time. This is what you should remember the most. You're a smart person. Do you know what to do? Charlotte's eyes were frightening. Gu Kawu's heart gave birth to a chill. He nodded. Charlotte turned around and left. He didn't look at Gu Kawu anymore. This person used to be his biggest opponent, but now in his eyes, he was a pitiful person. Chapter 508. It snowed in the evening, and the ground was covered in silver. The pine trees along the street were covered with icicles, which seemed to glow under the city lights. It was very beautiful. A Chevrolet Suburban crossed the city and arrived at the top of a hill in the suburbs. Halfway up the hill, there was a residential area for the rich called the Royal Garden. The residential area was full of single-family Spanish-style villas, classic, calm, and grand. A large number of villas were built along the hill, like a small town in the mountains in Spain, forming a charming scenery. The Royal Garden project was one of the many real estate projects of the Wanxiang Group, and Shinta Tianyin was the owner. Those who could buy a house in this area, even if they had millions of assets, could only be considered poor. The Royal Garden had just been inspected, and Shinta Tianyin said that he had chosen a house here as his wedding home with Charlotte. After receiving a call from Shinta Tianyin, Charlotte drove over. Not only Charlotte, but also Prince Caliph from the UAE and his two attendants, Ali Khan and Zamaha. Although the contract dispute between Desert Guardian and Hanwu Arms Company had been perfectly resolved, Prince Caliph's trip to China was not over yet. He had applied to purchase 20,000 Gale assault rifles and 200 XL 2500 sniper rifles from China's equipment department. The application was currently in the review process, and he would only return to the UAE after finalizing the order. In fact, the application was just a formality. China bought oil from the UAE, and the UAE bought weapons from China. The two countries had always been trading with each other and had a good relationship. With Charlotte, the father of rifles, coming to greet him, there would be no problem with the order. Now, Charlotte brought Prince Caliph to his and Shinatianin's new home as a guest, which was also a sign of respect and goodwill to Prince Caliph. It was good to have a Middle Eastern tycoon friend. After entering the residential area and looking at the Spanish-style villas on both sides of the road, as well as the city scenery in the corner of Kyoto in the distance, Prince Caliph sighed and said, "My friend, China has been developing too fast in the past few years. If I hadn't seen it for myself, I wouldn't have believed the reports about China's rise." Charlotte smiled and said, "Prince Caliph, Huaxia has a civilization of 5,000 years. It was once the most powerful empire on Earth. Now, it was the second largest market in the world. There are endless business opportunities here. If you want to invest, this will be a good choice." Prince Khalifa said, "This trip to China has changed some of my views." "Well, what you said makes sense. It seems that I really have to shift the focus of my investment from Europe and the United States to here. In addition, I also invite you to invest in our UAE. I will. The United Arab Emirates is a place full of gold. I like it there. My friend, if you come to UAE to invest, based on our relationship and our business, I will give you the legal status of an honorary citizen of UAE. In the future, you might even have the chance to become a noble. This, thank you, Your Royal Highness. However, our country doesn't recognize dual citizenship. It doesn't matter. Honorary citizenship doesn't require you to change your nationality. Becoming an honorary citizen of UAE, not only do you not need to change your nationality, but you will also get the same rights as any citizen of UAE. Having said that, Prince Khalifa suddenly smiled and said, "My friend, all men in the world want to have such an identity, but not everyone can get it." "Oh, why?" "Hee. In our country, men can marry many wives. This is recognized by law." "Huh." Charlotte gave a hollow laugh and said, "That's really good. Let me think about it. Becoming an honorary citizen of UAE would mean having the same rights as an Emirati, including the benefits of marrying several wives." This was a great temptation for any man. But when he thought of Shinda Tianin, Charlotte felt guilty. Jiang Rui had already made him feel guilty. How could he marry a few more wives? For Prince Khalifa, it would also be good if he could further deepen his relationship with Charlotte and turn their friendship into a brotherly one. Not to mention anything else, Charlotte's Thunder Horse military factory would be of great use to him. While talking and laughing, Charlotte saw Fu Mingmei standing by the side of the road. He stopped the Chevrolet Suburban off-road van, opened the door, and got out. Prince Khalifa and his two attendants also got out of the car, and Charlotte led them to Fu Mingmei. At this time, Charlotte realized what the new home that Shinda Tianin had chosen was. It occupied almost 1/10 of the entire community, and the main building was a huge European-style palace. It looked like the Palace of Seville and the Royal Palace of Spain. It was magnificent. Around the palace building was a very wide garden. In the garden, there were China's unique garden buildings, pavilions, streams, and ponds. It was magnificent. On the lintel of the door behind Fu Mingmei, there was a gilded plaque with the words "Lane Residence" written on it. The 3 words were like flying dragons and phoenixes, and the strokes were profound. It was obvious that it was written by a famous writer. This was the first time Charlotte had come to his new home, but he was also shocked. Looking at the exaggerated new home behind Fu Mingmei, his mouth was half open, and he was speechless. "Son-in-law, what do you mean by that expression?" Fu Mingmei pursed her lips and smiled. Charlotte came back to his senses. "This is too exaggerated. How many people do we need to live in such a big house?" Fu Mingmei smiled and said, "Just you and Tianin." "Yes, and master. If you think there are too many rooms, you can have a few more children with Tianin." "Wouldn't it be livelier with more children?" Charlotte rolled his eyes at Fu Mingmei, then invited Prince Khalifa and his entourage to go in. Prince Khalifa was also shocked by Charlotte's new home. For no other reason, it was more luxurious and beautiful than his home in the United Arab Emirates. Ali Khan moved closer to Prince Khalifa's ear and whispered, "Your Highness, Mr. Xia's wife is the chairman of China's Wanxiang Group. Her name is Shinta Tianyin. She's the richest woman in China, with a net worth of 14 billion US dollars. I see. Prince Khalifa smiled. The biggest gain from coming to China this time is not those weapons, but becoming friends with this couple. Although Prince Khalifa and Ali Khan's whisper was very low, Charlotte still heard it. A hint of a smile crept up the corner of his mouth. He kept showing off his strength to Prince Khalifa. Now that Shinta Tianyin had joined in, there was only one purpose, and that was to expand the overseas market with Prince Khalifa's help. Being friends with Prince Khalifa was not only beneficial to Rema Group, but also to the Wanxiang Group. Shinta Tianyin appeared at the entrance of the palace's front hall. She was wearing a black evening dress and a necklace of the Sacred Heart gem from the Kingdom of Jerusalem. Tonight, she looked especially noble and elegant. Coupled with the majestic European palaces behind her, she really looked like a queen of an empire. Charlotte introduced her to Prince Khalifa. "Your Highness, this is my wife, Shinta Tianyin." After a pause, he said, "Tianyin, this is Prince Khalifa of the United Arab Emirates." "Your Highness Prince Khalifa, nice to meet you." Shinta Tianyin greeted Prince Khalifa in a natural and unrestrained manner before shaking hands with him. Ali Khan translated Shinta Tianyin's words. Prince Khalifa smiled. "Both of you are so outstanding. It's my honor to be your friend." "Your Highness, you're too polite. Please come in, dinner is ready." Shinta Tianyin invited the guests into the house gracefully. Charlotte and Shinta Tianyin also looked at each other affectionately. The couple's cooperation was getting better and better. The dinner went on and ended in a pleasant atmosphere. During the dinner, Charlotte and Shinta Tianyin chatted happily with Prince Khalifa. They talked about everything from the situation in the Middle East, the crude oil market, to family members' hobbies. After dinner, Charlotte and his wife accompanied Prince Khalifa for tea for a while before going back to their room to rest. As soon as he entered the door, Charlotte was shocked by the room in front of him. It was 100 square meters, and the classical European bed was also amazingly large, which could accommodate 5 or 6 people. There was also a multi-purpose bathroom with an area of 50 square meters, with a temperature-controlled bath and a sauna. As for the decoration, needless to say, it was extremely extravagant. "Is this our new home?" Xiaolei was speechless. "Isn't this too exaggerated?" Shinta Tianyin said, "Of course, my new house has to be the best. Don't you like this style?" Charlotte smiled and said, "I like it. As long as it's your choice, I like it." Shinta Tianyin smiled. She took Charlotte's hand and led him to the overly large multi-purpose bathroom. As they walked, she said, "I like the feeling of bathing with you the most, so I asked the decoration company to design this multi-purpose bathroom. I haven't experienced it yet, and I want to experience it with you." Charlotte's heart skipped a beat. He would never refuse such a request. Shinta Tianyin's black evening dress fell on the carpet, and Charlotte's suit also fell to the ground. In this romantic moment, the last thing that should exist was clothes. The two were soaking in the temperature-controlled bath, enjoying the washing and massage of the water. The two of them looked at each other, attracted to each other. This warm atmosphere was soon shattered, and the two of them were entangled in the luxurious bath, pool, the collision of passion, and the blossoming of love. In front of others, Shinta Tianyin was a noble and cold queen, but in front of Charlotte, she was a gentle, lovely, and passionate stunner. All her beauty was only open to Charlotte. The passion subsided, and the two quieted down, soaking in the hot water softly, not wanting to move. "Tianyin, I'm leaving for Japan tomorrow." Charlotte was reluctant to leave Shinta Tianyin, but he had no other choice. Shinta Tianyin hugged Charlotte tightly, as if to integrate him into her body. "Be careful. Remember, I'll wait for you at home." Charlotte nodded, feeling inexplicably heavy. Chapter 509. One day later, on Edarofu Island. In the twilight, a silver isle 38 reconnaissance plane landed on the military airport on Edarofo Island. The hatch opened, and Charlotte and Long Bing walked down from the IL-38. A group of Russian soldiers curiously looked at the two Chinese, guessing the purpose of the two Chinese. Charlotte and Long Bing's purpose was actually very simple. That is, to use the Ming Dynasty compass to determine the location of the fourth treasure site. The Ilyushin IL-38 of the Russian Air Force circled around Japan, and the Ming Dynasty compass never left Xiao Lei's hands. During this flight, the compass also gave a result. That is, the approximate location of the fourth treasure site was the Ryukyu Islands, not on the Nippon mainland. This result made Charlotte feel a little surprised, but after thinking about it carefully, he didn't feel surprised. Ryukyu was a vassal state of the Ming Dynasty in China, and all the kings were conferred titles by the Ming Emperor. Later, Nippon occupied the Ryukyu Islands, and the Ryukyu Islands were included in the territory of Nippon, but the voices of independence and restoration of the country never stopped. That compass was a product of the Ming Dynasty, and the fourth treasure site was in a vassal state of the Ming Dynasty. Of course, this was just speculation. Under the gaze of a large group of Russian soldiers, Charlotte and Long Bing walked to a barracks. I really didn't expect this result. Long Bing frowned slightly. The compass vibrated the most near the Ryukyu Islands, and it clearly pointed to Okinawa. There is a UA military base there, and our actions will be very dangerous. Okinawa Island was full of UA military bases, stationed in the four major arms, including the Navy, Air Force, and Marine Corps, with more than 20,000 soldiers. It was one of the rare UA military bases overseas that had a complete set of arms. It could be said that this island was a veritable military island. It was like an unsinkable aircraft carrier built by the UA in the Western Pacific, blocking China's throat to the Western Pacific. Digging for treasures in such a place was like selling drugs at the entrance of a police station. It was self-evident how dangerous it was. There's nothing we can do. Charlotte smiled bitterly. I hope the fourth treasure is not under the runway of the U.S. military base. Otherwise, how are we going to convince the U.S. military to let us dig up their runway? Long Bing glared at Charlotte. Do you still have the mood to joke now? If it's really under the U.S. military runway, I'll give you a shovel and a hoe. Go dig. Charlotte chuckled. It can't be that coincidental. What about Gu Kawu and Gu Kyun? Long Bing changed the topic. We can't bring Gu Kawu to Okinawa. Gu Kyun asked to meet me in Tokyo. It seems that I have to go to Tokyo first. After dealing with Gu Kyun and Gu Kawu, I will go to Okinawa. Charlotte looked at Long Bing. So you go to Okinawa first. After you settle down, I'll come over. You're going to take Gu Kawu to Tokyo alone? Charlotte nodded. I have a private matter to resolve with Gu Kyun. Believe me, I will meet you in Okinawa. Have you decided? I've decided. Well, then I've also decided. I will accompany you to Tokyo and then go to Okinawa with you. Charlotte, Long Bing said, you are the only person in charge of Project X and the only person who can dig up the treasure. How can I rest assured that you will go to Tokyo alone? Not to mention that your opponent is Gu Kyun and the CIB behind Gu Kyun. Charlotte was in a difficult position, but Long Bing looked very determined. Based on his understanding of her, he knew that it was impossible to persuade her to go to Okinawa to wait for him. However, if he took Long Bing to Tokyo, Long Bing would definitely know that Gu Kyun had something on Tianyin, which was also troublesome. Should I tell Long Bing the truth? Charlotte secretly said in his heart. She is an extremely patriotic woman, and she can't tolerate sand in her eyes. If she knows that Tianyin has acquired so many state-owned assets through Gu Kyun, what will her reaction be? If it was something else, he wouldn't hide it from Long Bing, but this matter involved Tianyin, so he hesitated and couldn't make up his mind. Charlotte was silent. Long Bing stared at Charlotte with a blank face and sharp eyes. Her eyes seemed to penetrate Charlotte's eyes and penetrate his soul. In that case, let's go back and prepare. We will take a boat to Japan in the early morning. Charlotte avoided Long Bing's gaze and continued to walk to the barracks. Long Bing must have some guesses in her heart, but Charlotte didn't say it, so she didn't ask. The barracks was the barracks of the Russian soldiers, and Gu Kawu was locked in one of the rooms. Until now, Gu Kawu's head was covered with a black hood, and he was handcuffed to a wooden chair. He couldn't move, and he couldn't see the situation outside. This was a promise to the Russian army stationed on Edarofo Island, and they couldn't be involved. Therefore, it was necessary not to let Gu Kawu know where this place was. This operation used the IL-38 reconnaissance aircraft. Of course, the cost was not cheap. Charlotte paid the relevant people $500,000. The $500,000 also included the cost of helping him smuggle into Japan, but even so, the cost was very expensive. Hearing the sound of the door opening, Gu Kawu subconsciously raised his head and looked in the direction of the door. He couldn't see Charlotte and Long Bing, who walked into the room, which made him a little nervous. "Who is it?" "It's me," Charlotte said. "Where's this place?" Gu Kawu asked. Charlotte said, "Japan. We have arrived in Japan. Why are you still covering my head? Take off the hood." Gu Kawu struggled, but he couldn't get up. "When it's time to take it off, I will take it off for you. You'd better behave yourself. Don't talk casually, or you'll suffer," Charlotte warned him. Gu Kawu said, "No, take off my hood. I can't see anything. How do I know you're not lying to me?" Long Bing walked over and slashed Gu Kawu's carotid artery. Gu Kawu groaned and suddenly fainted. Charlotte looked at Long Bing speechlessly. Long Bing shrugged her shoulders. "Why are you talking nonsense with him? Let him be quiet. That's all." Of course, he would be quiet after being knocked out. It was just that it felt a little weird for a woman to solve a problem in this way. "He can't hear anything now," Long Bing tentatively said. "Don't you have anything to say to me?" Charlotte didn't know what to say. What was worse was that he hadn't even decided whether or not to tell Long Bing the truth. Long Bing sighed. "It seems that you don't think of me as a trustworthy friend." This sentence was already said out of anger. Charlotte quickly said, "No, why would you think that? In my eyes, you're even my family. It's just that I don't know how to tell you about this. It will make you lose your principles." Before Charlotte could say anything, there was a knock on the door. A Russian soldier said in Russian, "Sir, I've brought you dinner." Charlotte opened the door and took the 2 dinners from the Russian soldier. They were bread, cheese, and 2 sausages. Charlotte took the dinner, but the Russian soldier still stood at the door and didn't show any signs of leaving. Instead, he looked at Charlotte as if he was waiting for something. "Oh, I'm sorry. I almost forgot. This is your tip." "Thank you." Charlotte took out $100 from his pocket and handed it to the Russian soldier. Charlotte's generosity made the Russian soldier smile. He said, "Sir, the fishing boat I prepared for you will leave at 4 o'clock tomorrow morning. It's still early. You can sleep, and then I'll wake you up." Using a fishing boat to smuggle to Japan? Of course, do you still need a warship? The Russian soldier joked and said, "Don't worry, it's a Japanese fishing boat. Japanese fishermen won't have any problems." "Got it. Thank you," Charlotte said. After the Russian soldier left, he reached out and closed the door. Long Bing took the dinner from Charlotte's hand and walked to the table alone to eat. She was still angry. When she was angry, it could be seen at a glance. Charlotte smiled bitterly and sat down at the table with the food. "Well, I'll tell you, but you have to promise me that you won't tell anyone, because this matter is very important to me. Once it's leaked, it will bring a lot of trouble to me and Tianyin." Only then did Long Bing raise her head to look at Xiao Lei. She nodded lightly. Charlotte told the whole story and then looked at Long Bing. Long Bing didn't have any reaction. She just chewed the food slowly. It was as if she had just heard a trifling matter of no importance. But Long Bing's silence made Charlotte a little nervous. "I just told you that this matter will make you lose your principles, but you forced me to say it. I said it, but you didn't say anything." "What do you mean?" Long Bing lightly said, "I haven't lost my principles. After this mission is over, I will go and arrest Tianyin after return to China. How to deal with it? I will deal with it." "Huh?" Xiao Lei was so shocked that he couldn't speak. At this time, Long Bing threw a piece of breadcrumb in her hand at Charlotte's face. "You, what kind of woman did you marry? So bold, so ambitious. You got involved in this mess. You dug a pit for yourself. In the future, you might fall into this pit. Xiao Lei smiled bitterly. Aren't I helping her clean up her mess? I have no choice. After all, I'm her husband. Long Bing sighed. Sometimes I actually envy Shinta Tianyin. She was born with a silver spoon in her mouth. When she graduated from university, her first job was the chairman of Wanxiang Group. Now she is married, and she even married a good man like you. As a woman, she should have no regrets in this life. That she sometimes is quite hard. All right. Don't protect your wife. Long Bing glared at Charlotte. I'm also a woman. Why don't you care about me and take care of my feelings? Charlotte was stunned for a moment. In this case, he didn't know how to continue. I was just joking with you. If you tell me about such a thing, I will forget it after hearing it. I will pretend that you didn't say anything. Charlotte let out a sigh of relief. But I have to remind you, although Shinta Tianyin is your wife, you can't protect her without principles. If you don't protect her with principles, her ambition will continue to grow. This time you can clean up her mess. What about the next time? The next time? One day, you won't be able to clean up your own mess. Charlotte nodded. What would the future be like? He couldn't imagine it. But now, he must help Shinta Tianyin clean up her mess. Chapter 510. The night was getting late. Affected by the Siberian cold current, the nights on Edarofu Island were particularly cold. Charlotte, who was curled up on the sofa, was soon awakened by the cold and couldn't fall asleep. Why isn't there a heater in this damn place? Charlotte complained in his heart. I paid $500,000 just to enjoy this kind of service? Polar bears are really stingy. Spending money on a mission without reimbursement was the style of a special consultant in 101 innings. Charlotte didn't know that in 101 innings, he already had a nickname that he didn't know, Tycoon Xia. Charlotte looked at the watch on his hand. There were still 4 hours before the agreed time of 4 o'clock in the morning. He frowned slightly. How was he going to get through the remaining 4 hours? His eyes moved to Gu Kawu, who hadn't woken up after being knocked out by Long Bing. For safety reasons, he stuffed Gu Kawu into a sleeping bag so that he wouldn't get frostbite. Then his eyes moved to Long Bing. There were 3 people in the room, and only Long Bing, who was sleeping on the bed, was covered with a quilt. It was warm and comfortable. For some reason, Charlotte remembered the time when he was on a mission with her in Germany. They pretended to be husband and wife. In order to deal with the sudden investigation by the Immigration Bureau, he slept with her on the same bed for more than a month. In that 1 month's time, he didn't know how many times he had intimate contact with her. At this time, he wanted to go to bed with her. After all, the two of them had rich experience sleeping together. But as soon as the idea came up, he thought of Shinta Tianyin. He blamed himself in his heart and said, "How could I have such an idea? I'm already a married man. How can I sleep with her?" But at this moment, Long Bing opened her eyes. "Come to the bed and sleep with me," Charlotte said awkwardly. "How can I do that?" "You sleep. Don't worry about me." Long Bing said, "It's so cold. If you get sick, how can we carry out the mission? You're the key person in this mission. How can I bear the responsibility if something happens to you?" Charlotte still shook his head. No, it's fine. Go to sleep. You really don't have to worry about me." Long Bing frowned slightly. "Fine. You're not coming over? I'll call Boss Sure and tell him about Shinta Tianyin." Charlotte froze on the spot. "Are you threatening me with this? I'm doing this for your own good. Are you coming over?" Charlotte was speechless. "I did. You know me. I'm a man of my word." Long Bing really got up from the bed and reached for the phone in her clothes. No. I'm coming over." Charlotte braced himself and walked over. He took off his shoes and prepared to get into bed. Long Bing added, "Take off your pants and coat, or you'll catch a cold when you wake up. I'm doing it for your own good." Charlotte was speechless. In the end, Charlotte took off his pants and coat. He only wore a pair of briefs and got in a Long Bing's bed. He didn't really care about doing this, because in Germany, he and Long Bing slept together almost every day. In addition, he also knew that Long Bing wasn't really threatening him with Shinta Tianyin's weakness. It was more of a joke, and she was really doing it for his own good. How could he be angry with Long Bing for such a thing? The bed in the room was a single bed for soldiers, and it was very narrow. After getting into bed, Charlotte quickly found that Long Bing only had a bra and a pair of narrow briefs on her. Because the space was too small, their bodies couldn't avoid a lot of contact. Her skin was warm and smooth, which caused a lot of stimulation and trouble for him. Coupled with the faint fragrance of a woman in the bed, his will was a little shaken. He knew this better than anyone else because he could feel a clear reaction from a certain part of his body. This made him nervous, and he didn't dare to move. He was also afraid that Long Bing would notice the change in his body. Say, if Shinatiani knew that we were sleeping on a small bed, would she ask for a divorce? Long Bing suddenly said. Charlotte smiled bitterly and said, I don't think so. We didn't do anything. That's true. We lived together in Germany for more than a month, and we didn't do anything. Long Bing seemed to be reminiscing about that time. Her eyes were very soft, and it was a rare softness. A smile also appeared at the corner of her mouth, and she looked very peaceful. Stop chatting and go to sleep. Conserve your energy. We have to sneak into Japan at 5 o'clock. I can't sleep. Talk to me. Tell me, if Shinatianin was in bed with you, what would you do? Charlotte, tonight, Long Bing seemed to have changed into a different person. Most of the time, she didn't seem like a woman. She was like a cold robot, just like the sexy and beautiful female robot in Terminator. But tonight, she became a real woman. She had flesh and blood, and she had the thoughts and emotions of a woman. Say it, Long Bing urged, and she used her knee to nudge Charlotte's thigh. Charlotte had a headache. He couldn't say it. He was also quite speechless. That kind of thing, not to mention adults, even primary and secondary school students knew about it, right? Since she knew, why did she still ask? Wasn't she deliberately making it awkward? Say it, Long Bing urged again. Say what? That thing. Charlotte looked at Long Bing. I say, what's wrong with you today? Why do you always ask me these strange questions? Long Bing also looked at Charlotte, and their faces were only a few centimeters apart. Charlotte was no match for her, and he avoided Long Bing's gaze. Long Bing used her knee to nudge Charlotte again. This time, she used a little more force. After her knee hit those thighs, it didn't stop. Instead, it continued to slide and hit something it shouldn't have touched. This situation was like a speeding car suddenly crashing into a roadblock. At the moment of the collision, not only did the car stop, but the person also couldn't move. Long Bing's jade face suddenly turned red, and it was a big red blush. Only then did Charlotte come back to his senses. He hurriedly moved half his body away and said nervously, I didn't do anything. I didn't let my imagination run wild. This was a blatant lie. Long Bing's mouth revealed a rare smile. Isn't it just a question? Do you have to be so nervous? I'm not a tiger. Why are you hiding from me? Charlotte smiled bitterly. Why don't you look at what you're asking? Isn't that the case? What's there to ask? That? Long Bing was silent for a moment, and her eyes were gloomy. Didn't I ask you because I don't know? I'm almost 26 years old, but I'm still a blank in that area. I'm too embarrassed to ask others about this kind of thing, so I can only ask you. What was this? Charlotte didn't feel good. His mind was also a mess of imagination and feelings. In the past, I didn't think about falling in love with anyone, getting married, and having children. I always thought that I wouldn't live the life of an ordinary woman in my life. But since you married Shinatianin, I suddenly felt that I was very lonely. This feeling wasn't strong when I was working, but every night when I came home and faced the empty house, this feeling became stronger and stronger. Tell me, what's wrong with me? This seemed to be her true feelings. Charlotte's heart was touched, and there was also a trace of sadness and pity. In his eyes, Long Bing was an iceberg-like woman who closed herself off. She wouldn't get close to anyone, and it was difficult for others to get close to her. But it was only now that he could feel the loneliness in her body. She was a woman of flesh and blood, affectionate and righteous. Which woman didn't want a man who loved her by her side? You should find a good man to fall in love with. You're a woman, and a woman should have a man to love her. Can you still be a secret agent for the rest of your life? You'll retire one day, but when you're old, it'll be very difficult for you to fall in love again. What's the most precious thing for a woman? It's youth. You've given your youth to the country, but what about yourself? You have to treat yourself well. You're a woman, so you should treat yourself better. Charlotte finally spoke, and he also said what was in his heart. Who should I fall in love with? I can't give you an opinion on this. What kind of man you like, what kind of conditions and requirements you have, those are all your own standards. You're so beautiful. As long as you want to fall in love, there will be men who meet your conditions and requirements to pursue you. Really, you have to trust me on this. I've always trusted you, so please introduce me to someone. I do know a lot of outstanding men, but I don't think any of them are suitable for you. Besides, this matter is really up to you. I can't help you. I also don't think other men are suitable for me. You see, we have the same point of view. What kind of man do you like? Tell me. I'll keep an eye out for you, and if I find a suitable one, I'll introduce him to you. I like a sunny and handsome man. He has to be as tall as you, and his body type has to be similar to yours. Well, most importantly, he has to be strong, stronger than me, able to protect me in a hail of bullets. When I was being chased by the enemy, he was even willing to sacrifice himself to cover my retreat. Charlotte was stunned. If she were to use these standards to search for a person, wouldn't that be him, Charlotte? Was this a conversation between friends who had opened their hearts to each other, or a sincere confession? Under the blanket, Long Bing suddenly grabbed Charlotte's hand. Charlotte suddenly became nervous. He looked at Long Bing. You, Long Bing bit her cherry lips. A woman, including today, has slept with you for a month and 13 days. She's telling you now that she wants to fall in love and find a man to spend the rest of her life with. But you want to be a matchmaker and introduce her to another man. Do you really not understand? Or are you pretending not to understand? Long Bing, I actually understand, but Charlotte was having a headache. I'm already married, and I can't give you what you want. I can't harm you. You can find a better and more outstanding man than me. Really? Really? Tell me, who is better than you? Who is better than you? And who can satisfy my conditions? Charlotte was speechless. Do you know what I want? Long Bing's eyes were burning. What I want is the feeling of being a woman. Didn't you say that the most precious thing for a woman is her youth? I've given most of my youth to the country, and I want to leave some for myself. I don't want to spend my best time without even touching a man. Our jobs are so special, and we might leave this world one day. You've had fun with Tianyin, Liang Xiao, and that German chick, but have you ever thought about how I feel? Charlotte didn't know what to say. Long Bing suddenly leaned over, turned over, and pressed herself against Charlotte's body and kissed his lips. She had always been a woman who dared to do what she wanted. At that moment, she didn't care about Tianyin, nor did she care about how many women Charlotte had been with. If she wanted it, then she would do it. As for Charlotte's feelings, screw his feelings. Chapter 511. The hot and soft body, the wild tongue kiss, the pungent fragrance, and the restless softness. These elements gathered together like a bullet fired from an XL 2500 sniper rifle. It instantly hit Charlotte and destroyed the barrier of his rationality and morality. In this deadly entanglement, the thought of not doing so and of pushing Long Bing away actually flashed through his mind. However, this thought was like a broken dinghy in a storm, overturned by a big wave and sank to the bottom of the sea. This raging wave was a real raging wave. Charlotte could swear to God that he had never undone the row of buttons on Long Bing's back, but they had loosened and smashed onto his face. Even the most beautiful words in the world could not describe the spectacular and beautiful scene in front of him. Charlotte was completely lost. His mind was blank, and he could not think or imagine anything. Then, he encountered a huge crisis. The avalanche drowned him, making it difficult for him to breathe. Knock, knock, knock. The sound of knocking on the door suddenly came, and then came the voice of a Russian soldier. "Sir, it's time. It's time to go." The two people on the single bed suddenly froze, as if they were instantly frozen by a cold wind blowing from Siberia. If the two people who suddenly froze were regarded as ice sculptures, they would definitely be the sexiest and most erotic ice sculpture in the world. Long Bing's posture, Charlotte's posture, and the two's posture together, there was not a single part that was not seductive, and there was not a single part that was not stimulating. Knock, knock, knock. Sir, did you hear that? A voice spoke in Russian. Long Bing and Charlotte only then came back to their senses. Long Bing climbed up from Charlotte's body in a panic, grabbed the bra that someone had untied, and landed on Charlotte's face, and put it on. Then, she began to put on her clothes. Throughout the whole process, she had her back to Charlotte, ashamed to be seen by him. However, she seemed to have forgotten that she was the one who took the initiative just now. She could not believe that she was the one who took the initiative. Don, 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 stop knocking. Charlotte snapped in Russian. I heard everything. Okay, sir, I'll wait for you, the Russian soldier outside the door said. Long Bing had already put on her clothes. She looked at the watch on her hand and frowned. Didn't you say it was 4 in the morning? It wasn't even 1 o'clock. Is this the Russian concept of time? She was indeed quite depressed. She finally had a chance to experience the feeling of being a woman, and she had bravely made a decision. However, at this critical juncture, a Russian who had no sense of time came. This feeling was like walking in the desert for a few days and suddenly seeing an oasis in front of him. But when he ran over, he realized that it was just a mirage. Charlotte smiled awkwardly and didn't know what to say. He could not control his brain to recall the scene just now. The beautiful white scenery made him secretly excited, but at the same time he felt uneasy. Just now, he almost didn't think of Shinatianin, but at this time, he thought of it, which made him feel guilty. Charlotte put on his clothes quickly and went to open the door. The Russian soldier who had brought dinner in the evening was still standing at the door. The Russian boy had a flattering smile on his face, not knowing what kind of good thing he had just ruined. Well, didn't you say it was 4 o'clock? Charlotte said, It's only 1 o'clock now. Why is it early? The Russian soldier said, The fishing boat came early. Our officer said that we can't let it stay at the military port for more than a few hours, so he asked me to urge you to get on the boat. In fact, it's not a big deal. It's fine if it's early or late. You don't have to worry about any special circumstances. Long Bing also appeared at the door and said coldly, I hate you Russians. You don't have any sense of time. The Russian soldier was stunned and asked doubtfully, Miss, what did you say? I said that you were a stupid pig, Long Bing said angrily. The Russian soldier shrugged and said with a smile, Sorry, I don't understand Chinese. Charlotte followed and said, It's nothing. She just said that you are a good boy and will have a good future. Aha, thank you. The Russian soldier smiled happily. Charlotte said, You carry that man to the fishing boat for me, and I will give you $200. No problem. The Russian soldier happily agreed. $200 was enough for him to spend for a while, and all he had to do was to put in some effort. Of course, he was willing. A few minutes later, the Russian soldier carried Gu Kawu and walked to the military port with Long Bing and Charlotte. The barracks was next to the military port, not far away. Charlotte saw the fishing boat moored in the military port from afar. The Japanese flag was hanging on the mast of the fishing boat, fluttering in the cold sea breeze. The bright red circular pattern on the white background always gave people a strange feeling. Long Bing complained as she walked. You actually gave him $200. You should give him 2 slaps in the face. He's such a hateful guy, yet he can still earn tips. Is there any justice in this world? Charlotte, if they were on a battlefield with Long Bing's anger at the moment, she might have shot the Russian boy. Not to say the head or the heart, but it was no surprise that she would hit his hands and feet and cripple him. The more she acted like this, the more uneasy Charlotte's heart became. This uneasiness included the guilt towards Shinatianin and the debt to Long Bing. This feeling was very uncomfortable. Men were like this. They felt good on impulse, but after that, there were a lot of troublesome things. But even though they knew this result, there were still thousands of men who tried it one after another. The captain of the fishing boat was a Russian-Japanese man in his 40s. He was very strong, had a pair of blue eyes, but had a Japanese face, small eyes, and a short nose. Such a mixed-race man could be said to be a mess. He had a Japanese name, Takeshita Noo. Do you know? His mother had an affair and gave birth to him. The place of the affair was a bamboo forest, so she simply gave him the name Takeshita Noo. Haha, isn't this interesting? When the Russian soldier was about to walk to the side of the fishing boat, he whispered to Charlotte, "He specializes in the smuggling business. It is said that he has a Japanese mafia background. Although our officer has warned him, you still have to be careful of him. This kind of person probably has no humanity to speak of. This information is my reward for you. Sir, you are really generous." "Thank you." Charlotte smiled and accepted the Russian soldier's kindness. If you're good to others, others will be good to you. This sentence was very reasonable. Although the information given by the Russian soldier was not valuable, at least it would make him more vigilant. The Russian soldier carried Gu Kawu to the fishing boat and then said to Takeshita Noo, "Take care of them. They're not the goods you use to transport." Takeshita Noo looked at Charlotte and Shinta Tianin, and then looked at Gu Kawu, who was lying on the deck, and said in Russian, "What's the matter with this person?" "Don't worry about this person," said the Russian soldier. "That won't do. We agreed on 2 people. Now there is 1 more person. They have to pay twice the price." Takeshita Noo didn't give the Russian soldier any face. "How can you do this?" The Russian soldier was displeased. "There's nothing for you here. You can go," Takeshita Noo said bluntly. The Russian soldier still wanted to say something, but Charlotte interrupted him. "My friend, you can go. It's okay. I will negotiate with them." Well, remember what I just told you." The Russian soldier urged again and then left the fishing boat. As soon as the Russian soldier got off the fishing boat, Takeshita Noo urged with a rough voice, "Who is in charge? You still have to pay $10,000. If you don't have money, you can't go to Japan." Charlotte said, $10,000, no problem." He took off his backpack, took out a bundle of US dollars from the backpack, and threw it to Takeshita Noo. "This is $10,000. You can sail the boat." Takeshita Noo flipped the bundle of US dollars with his fingers, but the corner of his eyes fell on the backpack on Charlotte's shoulder. Then he smiled and said, "It's okay if you have money. You go to the cabin. We will sail soon." A sailor took Charlotte and Long Bing into a cabin. Charlotte put Gu Kawu on the floor. There's a lot of garbage on the floor, instant noodle boxes, safe rooms, and tissues. It was a dirty mess. The whole cabin was also filled with an unpleasant stench, which made people frown. "Stay here and don't walk around, or I won't be polite to you," a sailor said in Japanese, looking very fierce. He had a pistol hidden on his waist, and it was not difficult to see that he was not a sailor. Charlotte said, "Don't worry, I won't." The sailor glanced at Long Bing, and his eyes stopped on Long Bing's chest. At that moment, there was a trace of greed in his eyes, and a smile appeared on the corner of his mouth. Long Bing's eyes were cold, but that was all. The sailor's behavior made her very uncomfortable, but she would not do anything to him because of his impolite eyes. What's more, she and Charlotte still needed to use this fishing boat to go to Japan. The sailor turned and left the cabin, and then there was the sound of the iron lock outside the door. Charlotte's left eye twitched slightly, and the cabin door disappeared from his sight in an instant. The Japanese sailor also entered his sight. "Chinese pig. Humph." The sailor scolded in Japanese, but his voice was very low. However, this sentence was still interpreted by Charlotte using the lip-reading technique. This made Charlotte's eyebrows raise fiercely, and his eyes were also frighteningly cold. "Why'd he lock the door?" It was Long Bing's voice. "I don't know," Charlotte said. "This boat is a bit strange. We'd better be careful." Long Bing said, "We contacted the relevant people in Russia, and Russia arranged this smuggling operation for us. I'm not very clear about the specific situation. If I had known that this was the case, we should have used our own channels to smuggle to Japan." At this time, Gukuo moved and woke up. "This place is..." Before he finished speaking, Long Bing kicked Gu Kawu's carotid artery. The latter groaned and fainted. The motor of the fishing boat started, and the hull was tossed in the waves, heading in the direction of the Japanese mainland. Chapter 512. There were 3 people in the cabin. 1 was unconscious, and 2 were awake. No one spoke. The atmosphere turned awkward and ambiguous in the silence. Charlotte bit the bullet and broke the silence. I'm sorry about what happened before. I couldn't control myself. I'm sorry. The truth was that Long Bing couldn't control herself. She climbed onto Charlotte's body and took the initiative. Charlotte sounded smart. Women were shallow after all. He said that he was the one who took the initiative, so Long Bing was less embarrassed. However, Long Bing didn't appreciate it. She glared at Charlotte. Are you trying to tell me that it's wrong and that you won't make the same mistake again? Charlotte wanted to say yes, but when he saw the sadness in Long Bing's eyes, he swallowed his words. That's right. She was a woman who took the initiative to such an extent, but she didn't get it done. For him to say something like that at this juncture, it would be like pouring salt on the other party's wound. He couldn't do such a thing. Regarding Long Bing, he had always had an inexplicable affection for her. Especially when he was starting his business, Long Bing helped him a lot. Moreover, he had always been a grateful person. If others treated him well, he would treat them 10 times better. And Long Bing's kindness to him was more than just a little. She was more than a little. Therefore, facing such a loyal and affectionate woman, and the experience of living together for more than a month, it was difficult for him to control the part of his heart that liked her. That part seemed to be a seed. It was a seed that Long Bing had planted a long time ago. It was buried in the soil and couldn't be seen. But now it had awakened and began to germinate and drill out of the soil. But just when Charlotte didn't know what to say to calm Long Bing down and make her feel better, Long Bing suddenly came over and hugged him impulsively. Long Bing, we hug. Before Charlotte could finish his sentence, a soft and sweet tongue was already in his mouth. Long Bing had always been a woman of few words, but more actions. She was not a woman like Jiang Rui. She did not need to use tears to move Charlotte. She only needed to take action, so she wouldn't waste her breath on Charlotte. Charlotte's rationality and morality collapsed again. In front of the wild Long Bing, the barrier built by his rationality and morality was so fragile that it collapsed in one blow. It was only then that he realized that Long Bing, who was usually as cold as an iceberg, could also turn into an active volcano. The heat she emitted could melt even the hardest of objects. Originally, it was Long Bing who took the initiative. But in the entanglement, Charlotte, who had been stimulated, became restless, and his hands also took the initiative. But just when he was about to succeed, Long Bing grabbed his hand and pushed him away. She blushed and said, I thought your will was stronger than the Great Wall, but it's actually thinner than paper. This sentence made Charlotte unbearably angry. She had tried to light the fire several times, but when it was lit, she took the fire extinguisher and ran away. She let the flames spread and didn't care about his pain. But Charlotte still had the willpower. He took a few deep breaths, and the heat in his lower abdomen was controlled. Although it was still a little uncomfortable, he could endure it. But just as he endured, Long Bing suddenly came over again. Don't come over. Charlotte raised his hands to stop her and said with a bitter smile, What are you trying to do? Long Bing didn't back down and ignored Charlotte's flat palms. She took a step forward, and the most protruding part of her body suddenly bumped into Charlotte's palms. Charlotte was so nervous that he hurriedly retreated, but he only took 2 steps back and then hit the door. Long Bing didn't let him go and continued to squeeze him. Her and Charlotte's posture was like the posture of competing internal energy in martial arts movies. And her internal energy was obviously much deeper than Charlotte's. She didn't even need to use her hands and only used her chest muscles to squash Charlotte against the door. Long Bing's nose bumped against Charlotte's nose and said in an aggressive tone, You better remember this. You're the first man to sleep with me and the only one. You owe me. Don't try to get rid of me. After a pause, she added, Don't even think about it. Charlotte's head was already swollen. Now that he thought about it, when they lived together in Germany, they seemed to be carrying out a mission on the surface, but they didn't think so. Now that she mentioned it, she wanted to get back everything with interest. If he had known earlier, he would have pretended to be brother and sister instead of husband and wife. Long Bing finally let go of Charlotte. She behaved so unrestrained and wild, but after that, her cheeks also turned red, showing a rare shyness. Charlotte sighed. It's not fair to you. I'm already married. Really, I can't give you what you want. Longbing's gaze turned cold in an instant. How do you know what I want? Don't tell me that you don't like me. I can feel it, and I could tell a glance. As she spoke, her gaze shifted to the area between Charlotte's legs. Charlotte suddenly understood what she was talking about. He hurriedly moved his hands below his waistband, looking very awkward. You mentioned Shintatianin to me again and again. I know that you're thinking about her feelings, but have you ever considered my feelings? Longbing's voice was filled with dissatisfaction. All right, even if Shintatianin finds out about my existence one day, and she messes with you, I'll be the first to deal with her. She can also come and mess with me if she wants to go to jail. Charlotte was speechless. He had already begun to regret telling Longbing about Shintatianin and Gukyuan. Now, he had become a good card for Longbing. He even suspected that Longbing had found out about this matter, which led to the subsequent series of events. At this moment, he suddenly thought of his father, Xia Changhe, and a monk's chanting voice appeared in his heart. I wonder how Dad would feel if he knew that my love life is so messed up. Forget it, he's not much better. Every assistant is a young and beautiful Russian girl. I wonder if he inherited it from me. Longbing punched Charlotte. Say something. Why aren't you saying anything? Charlotte smiled bitterly and said, Does it matter what I say? Anyway, you could do whatever you want. I can't stop you. You provoked me again and again just now. Didn't I go along with you? Longbing's lips curled into a smile, but her voice was much softer. I didn't do it on purpose. I can't help but want to do it with you. But this place is so dirty. I don't want the most precious time of my life to be in a place like this. So that was the reason. Charlotte secretly heaved a sigh of relief. He thought to himself, maybe she was just being impulsive. This impulse has passed. When she calms down, she might change her mind. Longbing looked at Charlotte with a loving gaze. She didn't say anything. Then, she closed her eyes as if she was waiting for something. Charlotte was already an experienced person. He could tell that Longbing was waiting for him to take the initiative to kiss her. He hesitated for a moment. He wanted to kiss her, but he couldn't take a step forward. Every time he wanted to go up, Shintatianin would appear in his mind with a face full of anger, giving him great resistance. At this time, the diesel motor of the fishing boat suddenly quieted down, and the fishing boat stopped moving. Only the waves were pushing the hull, making the fishing boat sway. There were footsteps coming from the corridor. It wasn't one person, but several people coming from both sides of the corridor. Longbing suddenly opened her eyes. She was one of the top agents in 101 innings. Even when she was in love, she could maintain professional vigilance. And it was only a blink of an eye for her to enter combat mode. Longbing only heard the footsteps, but Charlotte had already seen the situation in the corridor. In the corridor, 6 Japanese were creeping toward the cabin where he and Longbing were. They all had pistols in their hands. On the left, the leader was the captain, Takeshita Noo. Charlotte retracted his gaze and then pulled out a small hunting knife hidden in his waist. Seeing Charlotte pull out the knife, Longbing already knew what the situation was outside. She also bent down and pulled out a hunting knife from her boot. The two of them didn't carry guns. That was because they wanted to enter the Russian military base on Edorofo Island. They had to borrow their IL-38 transport plane, and the other party had a clear requirement that they couldn't carry weapons during the whole process. Now it seemed that this requirement had become the trouble in front of them. Using a knife against a gun, although she was already experienced, Longbing couldn't help but be a little nervous. Charlotte gently held her hand and whispered in her ear, 6 people, 3 on the left and 3 on the right. You step back and stand behind me. I will kill the first one, and you take his gun. Longbing was slightly taken aback, and her heart was filled with a warm feeling. Whether a man loved a woman or not, it would be reflected in a crisis. In Germany and Israel, Charlotte would not hesitate to stand in front of her and leave the most dangerous part to himself. He always turned the tide in a hail of bullets, bringing her warmth and security. How could she not love such a man? Without waiting for Long Bing to make a decision, Charlotte had pulled her behind him. He just stuck to the wooden wall next to the cabin door, waiting for the moment when the door opened. The iron lock on the wooden cabin door was opened, and a sailor suddenly broke open the cabin door. Before the cabin door was fully opened, he rushed into the cabin. Charlotte suddenly reached out and grabbed the sailor's right hand that was holding the gun. At the same time, he stabbed the hunting knife in his hand into the sailor's heart. The heart of the first sailor who rushed into the cabin burst within a second, and then he died, but his body was still blocking the door, blocking the way of the sailor behind him. Long Bing grabbed the gun in the sailor's right hand, and a second later, the gun fired. A bullet flew out from the side of Charlotte's face and fiercely stabbed into the head of the second sailor. Blood splattered, and the sailor fell on his back in the corridor. The whole process only took 2 or 3 seconds, but 2 of the other side had already been killed. Xiao Lei and Long Bing's teamwork was tacit to the extreme. In terms of life and career, Shinda Tianyin and Charlotte were a perfect match. But in Charlotte's other identity, in his career as a special agent under a hail of bullets, Long Bing and Charlotte were a perfect match. They were a pair of wild mandarin ducks that killed each other. Chapter 5:13. Charlotte suddenly pulled the sailor's body in front of him. Almost at the same moment, Takeshita Noo fired 2 shots at him. Bang bang. 2 bullets hit the sailor's body. However, the power of the pistol was not enough for the bullets to penetrate the body and hit Charlotte. Long Bing suddenly pulled out her gun and fired at Takeshita Noo's direction. Takeshita Noo was not a fuel-efficient lamp. In a panic, he suddenly fell down in the corridor. He escaped, but Long Bing's bullet hit a sailor behind him. The guy's chest was hit 3 times. One of the bullets even hit his heart, causing blood to spurt out almost 2 meters away. Charlotte pulled out the hunting knife from the sailor's chest and pushed the body out of the door. At the same time, he threw the bloody hunting knife in his hand. The hunting knife seemed to have the speed of a bullet. It flashed in the narrow corridor space, and with a click sound, it stopped again. It was already on the forehead of the third sailor on the right. Takeshita Noo rolled to the left. He brought 5 sailors, and in the blink of an eye, 3 of them were killed. If there was a medicine for regret in this world, he would definitely buy a big bag and eat it. Unfortunately, the reality was that he didn't even have time to regret, because the battle was not over yet. Charlotte and Long Bing also survived the most difficult part. Now there were only 3 people left on the other side. He and Long Bing were 2 people. There was not much disadvantage in terms of numbers. In terms of combat effectiveness, the 3 people on the other side were simply child soldiers in front of him and Long Bing. However, Charlotte and Long Bing did not rush out, because Takeshita Noo and the other 2 were always sticking to the left side of the bulkhead, plus the corridor download. There was no space to dodge. If they rushed out, even if the other side was a child soldier, with 3 guns shooting together, it was definitely a very dangerous thing. "Who are you?" Takeshita Noo finally calmed down a little. He asked in Japanese. Charlotte spoke to him in Japanese. "It doesn't matter who we are. Why do you want to kill us?" "Money," Takeshita Noo said loudly. "Give us another $100,000 and throw the gun out. We'll live in peace." Charlotte sneered. "What if I refuse? Then we will burn you to death." Takeshita Noo ordered. "Go, use the gasoline." In the cabin, Charlotte suddenly pointed at a spot on the bulkhead for Long Bing. Although there was a layer of wooden bulkhead between them, he could still see a sailor's head. The other party didn't leave. They were going to get gasoline. This fishing boat was a tool for their illegal immigration business, not someone else's fishing boat. Unless it was absolutely necessary, they would definitely not burn their fishing boat. The reason why Takeshita Noo said this was because he wanted to exert pressure on Charlotte and Long Bing, forcing them to submit. If Charlotte and Long Bing abandoned their guns and bought peace with money, then what awaited them would be death. However, although Takeshita Noo's plan was very good, it was a pity that he didn't know what kind of enemy he was facing. As soon as Charlotte moved his finger, Long Bing aimed the muzzle at the bulkhead and fired without hesitation. Bang, bang, bang. 3 bullets flew out and hit the same place. The first bullet destroyed the structure of the wooden bulkhead. The second made a round hole in the template, and the third went directly through the hole and hit the head of the sailor behind the bulkhead. These 3 shots were shot in one go. From the beginning to the end, it was less than a second. It was fast and accurate to the extreme. In fact, when the sailor hiding behind the bulkhead felt the vibration behind his head had already been shot. Bastard! Kill them! Takeshita Noa roared and commanded his men to charge. But he got up and quickly ran to the corridor exit. The last sailor was not a fool. Seeing that Takeshita Noa had run, he pretended to charge and also turned to run. Long Bing suddenly flashed out from behind the door and shot the last sailor's head. Puff! The last sailor's head was suddenly blown off, and blood and brain matter bloomed like a flower. His body fell forward and fell heavily to the ground. Long Bing's muzzle moved, ready to shoot Takeshita Noa. Charlotte grabbed her hand and shouted, "Stop!" Takeshita Noa, who had just rushed to the corridor exit, froze and didn't dare to run forward. Long Bing's brows slightly wrinkled. "Why don't I kill him?" Charlotte said, "We need someone to drive the fishing boat. Do you know how to drive?" Long Bing shook her head. Charlotte said, "I don't know either. So, wait until we get to Japan and then kill him." Long Bing nodded, but she didn't put down her gun. Her muzzle was always aimed at Takeshita Noa. "Put down your gun," Charlotte shouted at Takeshita Noa. "Okay, don't shoot. Don't kill me. I'll listen to you." Takeshita Noa was very nervous. He put down his gun and slowly turned around to look at Charlotte and Long Bing. These 2 Chinese people, the man was handsome and the woman was beautiful and sexy. But in Takeshita Noa's eyes, they were like 2 devils who had just come out of hell, making him afraid. Charlotte walked over and picked up Takeshita Noa's gun. Long Bing also searched the guns scattered in the corridor. She kept 2 and threw the rest into the sea when she went on the deck. Takeshita Noa was taken to the cockpit of the fishing boat. Charlotte hit Takeshita Noa's head with the gun given to him by Long Bing. Then he threatened, "You drive the boat and send us to Japan. I'm warning you, don't play any tricks or I'll kill you." "I don't dare. Don't worry, I'll send you to Japan. As long as you don't kill me, I'll listen to you." Takeshita Noa had no temper at all. "Where are we landing?" Charlotte asked. "Hokkaido." "We're landing in a fishing village in Hokkaido." Takeshita Noa said, "We can get to the fishing village before dawn. I've done this many times. Many Filipinos and Vietnamese enter Japan through my channels." Charlotte translated Takeshita Noa's words to Long Bing. Long Bing thought for a moment and said, "Ask him if they have people in that fishing village." Charlotte then asked in Japanese, "Do you have people in that fishing village?" Takeshita Noa's eyes flashed, but he said with certainty, "No, it's just an ordinary fishing village. The people who live there are ordinary fishermen. I'm actually just a fisherman who does this kind of business. I made the previous mistake on impulse. You must forgive me. You must forgive me." Charlotte didn't believe Takeshita Noa's words. Takeshita Noa's eyes were very suspicious. People in the smuggling business were inhumane. When they met the sea patrol, they would even kill the stowaways and sink their bodies to the bottom of the sea. This was an inhumane way to avoid being punished by the law. How could there be no one at the landing point of a smuggling group? Charlotte said to Long Bing, he said that it was just an ordinary fishing village. There were no people from him, but I don't believe him. What should we do? Long Bing thought for a moment and said, "Kill this guy before we get to the fishing village, then sink the fishing boat. We'll swim to Hokkaido." Charlotte nodded and said, "Then it's decided." What did she just say? Takeshita Noa was very cunning. Charlotte smiled and said, "She said that a lot of your men died. When we get to the fishing village, we will give you another $10,000 as compensation." "Ah, you are really good people. I like China and Chinese people very much." "Oh yes, that Jiaoyu Island is China's. I have always said so. Really, I hate some right-wing politicians. Damn, they don't have any historical knowledge. Takeshi Noa desperately said to please Charlotte and Long Bing. They can't see the situation clearly. How big is China? How big is Japan? It's not the same as before. If we really fight, missiles will fly everywhere. Do you want to live? Hee. Charlotte was amused by him. You are very interesting. I'm a peace-loving anti-war person. My father is from China. In order to survive, Takeshita Noa was really willing to say anything. At 4 o'clock in the morning, the sky was still dark, but there was a coastline in front. Xiale raised his eyes to look into the distance, but even with the vision of his left eye, he couldn't see any fishing village. After all, the distance was still too far. How long will it take? Charlotte asked. Half an hour. Takeshita Noa said, I kept my promise. You also have to keep your promise. Bang! A gunshot was heard. Takeshita Noa, who had just finished speaking, fell on the deck of the cockpit. A blood hole the size of a wine cup was constantly spilling out a mixture of brain and blood. Long Bing blew the smoke from the muzzle and said lightly, for the sake of his good words, I gave him a quick death. This was indeed a quick death. Takeshita Noa did not realize that Long Bing wanted to kill him. He was already dead. A shot to the head was really not painful. Charlotte shrugged. There is still half an hour to sail to Hokkaido. If we swim according to your plan, how long will it take? Destroy the boat. If we get too close, we will be discovered. For safety's sake, it's okay to swim for a while. Besides, don't you have me to accompany you? Long Bing said. More than 10 minutes later, there was an explosion at the bottom of the fishing boat, and then it slowly sank. On the sea, 3 lifebuoys were bobbing up and down in the waves, swimming toward the coastline of Hokkaido. What is this place? What is this place? The cold seawater woke Gukawu up. He panicked and cried out, Why am I Long Bing's gun handle hit Gukawu's head, and then he was completely quiet. I guess we can land in Hokkaido before dawn. If there is a fishing village, we have to avoid it. Charlotte looked at the coastline of Hokkaido, looking for a suitable landing point. You and Shinatianin have been married for a while. Is she pregnant? Charlotte, how many times do you do it in night? Hey, I'm talking business with you. What nonsense are you talking about? Don't get excited. I just want to talk to you. Tell me, how many women have you slept with? Charlotte buried his head in the cold seawater. Chapter 514. The light of dawn dispelled the last bit of darkness before the dawn. The seawater slapped against the rocks by the beach, making a swooshing sound. There was a forest by the shore, and the forest was filled with a white mist. This mist caused everything to become hazy, giving it a unique and mysterious charm. The 3 swimming rings reached the shore, and Charlotte and Long Bing climbed out of the water, then dragged the fainted Gukawu to the shore. Gukawu was really unlucky on this trip to Japan. He had been knocked out by Long Bing 3 times. The last time was the worst. The bump on his head from the gun handle had not disappeared yet. It's so cold. Long Bing shivered, and her voice was a bit shaky. This damn weather. If I knew it earlier, I would have used our own way to come here. The Russians are unreliable, and the Japanese are also unreliable. This kind of service actually charges $500,000. It's really quite evil. Charlotte was also a bit dissatisfied in his heart. Long Bing looked up. There's a forest over there. Let's go in and find some firewood to make a fire. We have to dry our wet clothes, or else we'll get sick. Okay. Charlotte picked up Gukawu, who was lying on the swimming ring. Long Bing's blow was really fierce, and Gukawu still hasn't woken up yet. Not only did he not wake up, his face was pale, and his breathing was very weak. Charlotte and Long Bing didn't get sick, but he did. Along the way, he had suffered a lot of fright. In addition to the heavy blow to his head, he had also been soaked in the ice-cold seawater for almost 2 hours. Even a professional agent like Long Bing felt uncomfortable, let alone a playboy like him. There was not a single house near the beach, and there was no fishing village in sight. Charlotte and Long Bing smoothly crossed the beach and entered the forest. Charlotte put Gu Kawu on the ground, then went to find some dry branches and fallen leaves, and then made a fire in an open space in the forest. Gu Kawu was moved to the side of the bonfire. The raging flames evaporated the moisture on his body, bringing him warmth. Although he was still in a state of unconsciousness, there was already some color on his face. Long Bing took off her coat, leaving only her bra and briefs on. She squatted by the bonfire to dry her clothes. A large amount of water vapor came out of her wet coat and her underwear, causing her body to be shrouded in a thin layer of mist. A large area of her snow-white skin was vaguely revealed in the light of the fire and the mist. Her chest was towering, her cleavage was clear, and her buttocks were plump and full, extremely sexy. For some reason, Charlotte's left eye twitched uncontrollably. The last bit of cloth that covered Long Bing's body also disappeared, and all the mysterious scenery on her body was exposed to his vision, extremely clear with a single glance. This scenery made his mouth dry up, and his breathing became short. In the past, he had never seen Long Bing with his X-ray vision, but at this moment, he couldn't control himself. He then looked away, and there was a bitter smile on the corner of his mouth. Why is my love life so messy? I thought it would be better after I got married, but it's still like this after getting married. It's really a headache. It didn't matter if a man played like this when he wasn't married, but after getting married, he had to bear the responsibility of a husband. He didn't want to be entangled with women other than Long Bing, but this was often wishful thinking. First, it was Jiang Rui, and now it was Long Bing. Jiang Rui and him were childhood sweethearts, and she had waited for him for more than 20 years. How could this feeling be rejected so easily? Long Bing and him met in Macau, and the first time they met, he saved Long Bing's life. Later, in Xiuxian's basement, he once again turned the tide and saved her once, and in Jerusalem, her feelings for him were poured out in a hail of bullets, and they had long been together in life and death. How could such feelings be rejected so easily? Unable to refuse, destined to be entangled, then let nature take its course. Charlotte thought so in his heart. Apart from this, he really couldn't find any other way to solve his relationship problems. Hey, take off your clothes and bake them. It will dry faster, Long Bing said. Charlotte came back to his senses. He also took off his clothes, only wearing a pair of briefs, and squatted by the campfire to bake his clothes. Long Bing's gaze moved to Charlotte's body. Charlotte's strength and masculine characteristics made her secretly excited. She couldn't control her eyes, and she had to secretly glance at that place. During this peeping process, a blush appeared on her cheeks, but she didn't realize it herself. Charlotte subconsciously put down the wet clothes in his hand a little, just enough to cover between his legs. Long Bing frowned. You're a man, yet you still want to cover up. Don't you feel embarrassed? Look at me. You can look at me however you want. I won't cover up. She dared to love and hate, and she also dared to show it. She did whatever she wanted to do. This was Long Bing. She was such a straightforward woman. Charlotte smiled awkwardly. When did I cover up? I just want to dry my clothes quickly. We're on the battlefield. I don't care so much. If necessary, I can strip naked and bake. Really? Then quickly strip and roast it. If you dare, I dare too. Charlotte, that was an unimaginable scene. Two elite agents from Innings 101 swam across the sea to Hokkaido, Japan, and then stripped naked in the woods of Hokkaido to bake their clothes. Long Bing's proposal was very tempting, but Charlotte didn't do it. He dawdled for a moment, pulled his backpack, took out the satellite phone in it, and then dialed the number that Gu Qin had called last time. Contacting Gu Qin at this time was not to resolve the grievances between him and Gu Qin as soon as possible, but to divert his and Long Bing's attention. He took off all his clothes and began to dry them. What was certain was that as he continued to dry them, it would no longer be about drying his clothes, but something else. Gu Qin's call was quickly connected, and her voice came from the satellite phone. You finally called. Where are you? Charlotte said, I'm already in Japan. Where are you? Tokyo. I'm in Hokkaido. Come to Hokkaido, and we'll meet here. Charlotte said. Tokyo. We'll meet in Tokyo. This is non-negotiable. Gu Qiuan's voice was heard. Also, I want to hear my brother's voice. Your brother? Charlotte glanced at Gu Qiu, who was still unconscious, and was a little worried. You didn't bring my brother? Charlotte, you lied to me. Gu Qiuan said angrily. You have to consider the consequences of doing this. I brought your brother, but he's asleep now. I don't believe you. Just wait for Shinta Tianin to go to court. At this moment, Long Bing suddenly put down the clothes in her hands, picked up a burning wooden stick, and directly poked the back of Gu Qiu's hand. Ah! Gu Qiu was suddenly awakened by the pain and screamed. Only then did Long Bing remove the burning wooden stick. The back of Gu Qiu's hand was burnt, and it was still smoking. There was even an additional smell of barbecue in the air. Brother, brother, Gu Qiu said angrily. What did you do to my brother? Charlotte followed and said, Nothing. He probably had a nightmare and woke up. I want to talk to my brother. Don't try to lie to me. Gu Qiuan's voice. Charlotte walked to Gu Qiu's side with the satellite phone and looked at Gu Qiu coldly. Your sister wants to talk to you. Do you know what to say? Gu Qiu looked at Charlotte with hatred, and then looked at Long Bing. Then he moved closer to the satellite phone and said, Qiuan, it's me. I'm your brother. Brother. Gu Qiuan's voice suddenly softened. What did they do to you? Did they beat you? Gu Qiu looked at Long Bing again. Long Bing's eyes were very cold, and there was a bright hunting knife in her hand. Seeing such eyes and such a knife, Gu Qiu suddenly lost the courage to tell the truth. He said, No, they're very good to me. Brother, don't be afraid. I have arranged everything. We will be reunited soon. Gu Qiuan's voice was heard. Gu Qiu warned, Qiuan, you have to be careful. Before Gu Qiu finished speaking, Charlotte took away the satellite phone and said, Gu Qiuan, do you believe me now? Your brother is with me. Come to Hokkaido, and we will complete the deal. You take your brother away, and I will take what I want. Tokyo. Gu Qiuan was very stubborn. Call me when you arrive in Tokyo. I will arrange a time and place for us to meet. Charlotte said, Your brother is in my hands. My chips are more important than yours. How dare you talk to me like this? Aren't you afraid that I will kill your brother? Gu Qiuan sneered and said, Charlotte, do you think there is anything that we can't lose? The reason why we are in this situation today is all because of you. Kill my brother if you have the guts. Let's see how I will take revenge. A cold light flashed in Charlotte's eyes. He knew that Gu Qiuan was like a poisonous snake. If he didn't kill her this time, she would not stop her revenge. Also, don't think that I don't know what you are thinking. If I come to Hokkaido, in that remote place, once you get what you want, you'll kill me and my brother to get rid of all future troubles, right? I'm not as stupid as you think. Don't waste your breath. I will give you 24 hours to come to Tokyo immediately. After that, Gu Qiu hung up the phone. Long Bing was silent for a moment and said, Tokyo. She has repeatedly insisted that you go to Tokyo to meet her. I am afraid that she has already arranged a trap for you there. Don't go. Let's kill this guy and then leave Japan. What? Gu Qiu suddenly panicked. You can't do this. I didn't do anything. It was you who took me out of prison. You sent me back to prison. I'd rather go to prison. Charlotte suddenly swept his foot on Gu Qiu's head. Gu Qiu groaned and fell to the ground like a log. Go to Tokyo. Charlotte's eyes were very firm. This is the best opportunity to kill Gu Qiuan. I have to do it. Since you have decided, then I will go with you, said Long Bing. Even if it's a mountain of blades or a sea of flames, I will go through it with you. After a pause, she stared at the area between Xia Lei's legs and added, You exposed yourself. Charlotte hurriedly looked down and then was petrified on the spot. Chapter 515. In the evening, a Mitsubishi off-road vehicle came out of the highway exit and entered the downtown area of Tokyo. This city was the largest in Asia and the second largest in the world. It was like a huge forest made of steel and cement. The high-rise buildings, the shuttling cars, and the intertwining lights, the prosperity here was like a bizarre and dazzling dream. Many Chinese didn't like Japan, but they had to admit that it was a powerful country. The pragmatic attitude of the Japanese was also worth learning and affirming. The Mitsubishi off-road vehicle drove along a street. In this car, Charlotte was sitting in the driver's seat, and Longbing was sitting on the sofa in the back. She was responsible for looking after Gu Kawu. Unsurprisingly, Gu Kawu was in a state of coma. Since he came out of prison, he had been beaten by Longbing to the point that he had a concussion. It's really prosperous. Charlotte sighed. Do you like cities? Longbing looked away from the window. Charlotte shook his head. No, I like a quiet and simple environment. Well, such as a quiet mountain village, a charming island, or something like that. What about you? Like you, I also like a quiet and beautiful place. There are mountains and rivers, a tile-roofed house, and a bamboo forest. I want to live in such an environment, read books, and bask in the sun when I have nothing to do. Why do you need a bamboo forest? Longbing thought for a moment. I don't know, but isn't that how it is in the movies? There is a bamboo forest next to a thatched cottage and a tile-roofed house. It's very beautiful. Charlotte smiled. I didn't expect you to have a classical complex. Well, if we can successfully complete the task, I will find a piece of land for you to build a tile-roofed house that you want. Then, I will plant a bamboo forest next to it. How about that? Longbing was stunned for a moment before she said, Why? You want to build a house for me so soon? Are you hiding a mistress in a golden house? Aren't you afraid that Shinatianin will divorce you if he finds out? Pretend I didn't say anything. Charlotte was actually quite embarrassed. He just felt that Longbing had such a wish, and he could easily help her fulfill it. He definitely had no intention of keeping her in his house. Besides, was a woman like Longbing a delicate woman? No, you have to keep your word. Why go back this time? Build me a house like this near your military factory and plant a bamboo forest. Yes, I want Nanju, Longbing said with a smile. Why? Why near my military factory? The environment there is not bad, and it also satisfies the conditions of having mountains and water. I get it. You're afraid that I'll pester you if I live too close, right? No, I didn't mean that. Then what do you mean? You're afraid of being suspected by Shinatianin, right? I'll cover it for you, okay? Longbing said again, I'm joking with you. I have my own house, and I won't take yours. Besides, our current relationship is quite good, and I don't want to change anything. Charlotte, before a man and woman had sex, it was a state of getting along. After that, it would be another state of getting along. But what made Charlotte more depressed was that he and Longbing seemed to have entered the second state inexplicably. After all, they hadn't had sex yet. After chatting for half an hour, under the guidance of the GPS, Charlotte drove to a street. He parked the car in front of a video store, then got out of the car with Longbing and entered the store. The video store wasn't big, but it was filled with all kinds of audio and video products. There were regular audio and video products, and there were also adult audio and video products. In Japan, these kinds of videos could be sold openly. There were several middle-aged men in the video store who were picking out those discs. When they saw Longbing, who followed Charlotte in, their eyes were very strange. It was common for men to visit this kind of video store, but it was very rare for a woman to also buy discs. Charlotte randomly picked out a few regular movie discs, such as Tom Cruise's Mission Impossible 5 and Fast and Furious 7. Just as he was about to walk to the cashier, Longbing quickly picked out 2 adult films and stuffed them into Charlotte's hands as if she was transferring stolen goods. Charlotte saw the 2 discs she chose, Desire Investigator starring Yui Hitano and Girl in Jeans produced in Tokyo. Then his eyes moved to Longbing's face, and his eyes were blank. Longbing glared at Charlotte, but didn't say anything. Charlotte then walked to the cashier to pay. There was a man in his early 50s standing at the cashier, and he looked very ordinary. He scanned the discs, and then said in Japanese, Sir, it's a total of 5,000 yen. Thank you. Charlotte took out his wallet, took out 5,000 yen, and gave it to the video store owner. The first disc had a penciled X pattern on it. The video store owner saw the pattern, and his eyes moved to Charlotte's face, and his eyes became cautious. Charlotte then said, Boss, can I borrow your washroom? I drank some water, and I can't hold it anymore. I'm really sorry to have caused you trouble. No problem. Go through this door, and you'll find the washroom at the end. The boss pointed to a door beside the cashier to Charlotte. Wait here for me, Charlotte said to Long Bing. Long Bing nodded and took the discs from Charlotte's hands. Charlotte opened the door and entered a narrow corridor. At the end of the corridor was not a washroom, but a security door with an electronic password lock. He walked to the door and entered his password for 101 innings into the electronic lock. The heavy security door made a light click and it opened. Behind the door was a room of only 10 square meters. It was empty and there was a large handbag on the floor. Charlotte went up and unzipped the handbag, revealing a large pile of gun parts and ammunition. These gun parts were transported from China, and they could be assembled into an XL-2500, a Gale assault rifle, and 2 pistols. After taking a look, Charlotte zipped up the handbag and left the room. This place was an intelligence station for 101 innings. After leaving the video store, Charlotte and Long Bing got into the car, and they drove away from the street where the video store was located. When Charlotte came, he drove very slowly, but when he left, he drove very fast. It was not until they were about 10 kilometers away from the video store that Charlotte parked the car in a parking space on the side of the road. Charlotte took out the satellite phone, dialed Gu Qian's number, and said directly, "I'm already in Tokyo." "You're quite fast," Gu Qian said. "Tell me the time and place. Why are you in such a hurry?" Gu Qian's voice had a hint of ridicule. "My brother is still in your hands, and I'm not in a hurry. How about this? You find a hotel to stay in, I recommend." Charlotte interrupted Gu Qian. "Don't play tricks with me. You asked me to come to Tokyo, and I'm here. If you don't want to make a deal, I can kill your brother now." "Okay, I'm at Mount Fuji. Nina Yakai, come over. I'll contact you when I get there." After that, Gu Qian hung up the phone. The Mitsubishi SUV immediately started and sped toward Mount Fuji according to the navigation. In the car, Charlotte said bitterly, "That bitch Gu Qian, her brother is in our hands, and she dares to threaten me. Isn't she afraid that I'll kill her brother?" Long Bing said, "A woman like Gu Qian, what else can't she do? Now I suddenly feel that she doesn't seem to care about her brother. If she really cared about her brother's life and death, she should have agreed to your conditions in Hokkaido this morning and come to Hokkaido to trade with you." "You mean?" Charlotte seemed to realize something. From the beginning, Gu Qian was just a cover? Her real purpose is not to save her brother, but to deal with me? Long Bing was silent for a moment, and then said, "Charlotte, let's go back. Don't meet Gu Qian. It's too dangerous. I can even foresee the danger there. She's not alone. She must have laid an inescapable net in that place, just waiting for you to drill into it. Let's leave Tokyo, find a place with no one to kill Gu Kawu, and then go to Okinawa to do what we should do." Charlotte's right foot was placed on the brake, but he hesitated and didn't step on it. Leaving Tokyo, this was undoubtedly the right choice. However, once he gave up the deal, killed Gu Kawu, and left Tokyo, the evidence in Gu Qian's hands would appear in China, and Shinatianin would be in huge trouble. He promised Shinatianin that he would solve this trouble for her. How could he leave like this? Xiaolei's right foot returned to the accelerator, and he slammed down hard on the accelerator. The Mitsubishi SUV sped along the road like a beast. Long Bing sighed. "AI, Shinatianin is really lucky to marry a man like you. In order to solve her trouble and clean up her mess, you still want to go even though you know you might die there. There are really not many men like you in this world." Charlotte smiled bitterly and said, "Are you praising me or insulting me?" "Both," Long Bing said. "By the way, when we arrive at Shinano-Yachikai, you get off in advance and take the sniper rifle to find a sniping point. I'll meet with Gu Qian." Charlotte said, "This is your plan? Do you have a better countermeasure?" Long Bing thought for a moment. The onlooker sees the game more clearly than the onlooker. "Have you ever heard of this sentence?" Charlotte was slightly stunned. "Of course I have heard of it. What do you want to say?" "What I want to say is that because of Shinatianin, you have lost your sense of propriety. This is exactly what Gu Qian wants. The more anxious you are to kill Gu Qian and destroy the thing in her hands that can threaten Shinatianin, the more difficult it will be for you to achieve your goal. You might even fall into the trap that Gu Qian has prepared for you. It wasn't that Charlotte didn't understand the situation in front of him. Gu Qian had been in Japan for a period of time. She had prepared for such a long time. It was impossible for her to just dress up and meet him, then finish the deal and go their separate ways, right? However, even though he knew it was a trap, he still had to go, because he had no choice. I hope you are alive and don't take unnecessary risks because of Shinatianin. How about this? Listen to me. What's your plan? Long being thought for a moment, I heard that the hot springs there are good. Let's find a hot spring hotel to stay in and enjoy the hot spring culture of Japan. Charlotte, this was her plan? You're tuning into the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.